So yeah, before I went on my 4-day road trip disaster mission, I had a dream, and I wanted to ask you guys what you think I should do about it. That is the crux of the matter. Hello, welcome back. Will we talk a little about what went down on the weekend? I am going to make a actual stream about that. Maybe we'll hold off until next week, where I dedicate, a Saturday stream where we actually talk about what happened and what I think is the cause. And spoiler alert, I've already received information back from KiloView, which will blow you away. And the product, without saying anything, I don't want to blow it, but let's just say the product is not what it's meant to be. We'll hold off on that. But hello, we're here. I'm here. You're here. We had a 4-day little break. I tried to do some live streaming from the road. It failed. So I went ahead and just had myself a wonderful time without the live. Really, really great time away. Spent 4 days. Well, let's go through it. Let's talk a little about it. So on Thursday night, no. Wednesday night to Thursday morning, I woke up with a dream. I had a dream. I woke from the dream. I recorded myself telling the dream what it was. That's what I want to talk to you guys about. That's what the title of this stream is. I need some help on something. So I recorded what the dream was. Then I went back to sleep. Then I woke up. Then I packed my van, ready to go on this road trip. We started the stream and we went on our merry way. And then we first encountered our buffering issues and all that kind of garbage. And so when I had realized that the P3 Mini was not going to perform, I forward slapped myself because I didn't bring the backup LiveView Solo. And so I realized that either I turn around and go home and get the LiveView Solo, or I just continue on my way to Canberra, of which I was only about maybe a third of the way there. So I could have easily turned around, but I decided to no, I'll just leave it as it is. We'll say this is a fail and we'll go ahead and do the thing anyway without the live streams. So I went down to Canberra to photograph a gig. The gig was UMI, which is one of Australia's premier rock and roll bands. If you don't know them, Sucked In, you should. You're missing out, basically. They had a long time, too. They've been around for a long while. They're a great band. And so I photographed their 30th year anniversary of the Hi-Fi Way album. And they were specifically playing that album from top to bottom. And the first show of the tour was in Canberra, which is close-ish to here. So I decided to go down and shoot that. And the interesting thing there was that they didn't have a support band. So they just played 2 sets themselves. And that meant that they could play more songs. And so what they did was, and I don't think they did this in Sydney, they just did Sydney dates as well, but they played the top of Ali Daily, another one of their greatest records, from the top of Ali Daily all the way through to the bottom in order. They played that on one set, then they said, we're going to go and take a break and we'll be back. They went and changed costumes, came back and played Hi-Fi Way in its entirety. And then they did an encore, which included a song I don't know, a song called Opportunities by UMI. I don't know where that comes from. It could be from one of their more recent albums. I'm not sure. They did Corporalia, which is from Sound As Ever, not to be confused with the EP of the same name. They have often titled an EP and then made a song called that title. So there's a song called Corporalia on Sound As Ever, which the title comes from the EP, which comes before the album. Anyway, the interesting thing there was they opened that song with a cover of a Silverchair song called Freak, which is a little bit of a roundabout circle of saying thanks because Silverchair did take their name. Silverchair, the name Silverchair, they took that from two words, Sliver, which is a Nirvana song, Sliver, and Chair comes from Berlin Chair, which is one of UMI's greatest songs from the Sanazera album, which is the song they finished with that night as well. So Silverchair, that's how Silverchair got their name. And so UMI might have been paying a little bit of homage to that or acknowledging that. And they covered Freak, or they did at least the opening verse of Freak. And then they went into Corporalia and then Berlin Chair. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful gig. I've never been to the UC Refectory in Canberra before, and I'll definitely go back again. From there, I just parked up in a little suburb called Bruce. There's a suburb called Bruce. That's where the university is located, or close to it. Had a few homebrews beforehand on this mountaintop overlooking Belconnen. That was pretty rad. Belconnen is pretty famous in the skate world, certainly from my childhood. Belconnen, well, there's a vert ramp in the bowl and the other bowls. Back in our day, yeah. I mean, there's a great skate park there now. So anyway, I parked up in Bruce and then, yeah, shot the show, came back to the van, slept in the van. In the morning, I went down to the skate park to pay my respects and just to marvel at how amazing the new park is. They got a great vert ramp there, and it just looks, the whole thing looks 20 years too late, but pretty damn rad. Very rad, actually. Amazing vert ramp. And from there, I went on to catch up with David Pang, who's a skate photographer. If you're in Australia and you've ever opened up a magazine of skateboarding, you've seen his work. Yeah, very, very prolific and very well-loved skateboard photographer for generations now, decades. And I've met him before, but never really sort of sat down and spoken with him. But I've seen him at various events, and most notably the Belco, the airbag landing jams in Adelaide in the early 2000s or mid 2004-ish, 2005, maybe 2003, where he did take some photos of myself. This is how we got talking recently. He took some photos of me at those two years of those events and posted them recently on Facebook. And I was just like, holy shit, dude. I'd seen these and forgotten, or I didn't know they existed. One way or another, it was out of my head. And I was pleasantly surprised to see what I'd say is the peak of my vert skating in photography form. And so I was immediately sending him a message saying, hey man, I want to buy some of these off you. How do we do that? You know, as a photographer myself, I don't want it for free. I want to pay him for what he's done. He's done a very good job. And yeah, he captured me in that era, and I want to print it off on my wall, get a big shot of me, you know, self-gratitude, kind of like that kind of thing. So then we got talking, and then I sort of said, I'm coming down to Canberra, by the way. Are you around on whatever the day was? And he said, yeah, I'll be there. He says, okay, we'll meet up. And I was saying, I'm happy to meet at a cafe or whatever. Instead, we met at his house, and he walked me through just the chronicles of Australian skateboarding right there on the walls in like the study, in like he's basically got like a museum of art and of skateboarding in multiple rooms in his house, even with the classic wall suitcase, the bookcase wall with the moving ladder that he had installed in his house so he could access the higher shelves and everything. Just like, you look in one section, and then there's just everything you could imagine about skateboarding, and then you look in the other section, and then there's everything else you could imagine about skateboarding, and then there's another room and another room, another room. And he takes me outside and downstairs into, you know, under the house in the cooler, the cellar area, and there's heaps more skateboards there, and old school stickers and wheels and trucks, everything that has ever been involved in skateboarding in Australia and international, but obviously focused on the Australian, is in there in David Pang's collection, including all of his photography, printouts, everything, you know, like he showed me stuff that was just, it won't mean anything to, if you're not a skateboarder, this wouldn't mean anything to you, but it meant a lot to me. He just showed me stuff that you flick a page and there's like a little printout or a piece of paper that's got Lance Mountain's home address on it, written by Lance. And then there's one with Tony Hawk. Here's my address. Send me the things and whatever. And this is back in the 80s and 90s when like only to skateboarders was Tony Hawk a name, right? Like who nobody would give a shit. This guy, yo, Doug, how you doing, man? Hey, Gibbs, over on Kick there. Tony Hawk came to this country multiple times in those days, and only skateboarders cared, right? Now, if he came to this country, it's a media frenzy. Tony Hawk, you know, like. But the point of it is, it's all there in beautifully laid out, and David Pang told me that he's got this book that's coming. It's a skateboard book, and it's way more than just a book. And I'm not promoting it because. Whatever, I'm promoting it because it's going to be fucking rad. And everybody who's ever had any interest in skateboarding anywhere on the planet should buy this book when it comes out. We talked all about it. He showed me the layouts, the concepts, and it's basically it's a chronicle. Again, there's that word. It's a chronicle of skateboarding in pictorial form, but it's also going to have a website component, if you like. So there'll be a website that's got like the social aspect of it, not Facebook, right? Not Twitter, not any site. It's housed within this website, and it's going to have the features such as, let's say you grew up skating in Canberra in the 90s. And you maybe you only skated mini ramps for 5 years, and then you had to go and work somewhere, and you gave it away. Well, you'll be able to search up mini ramp skating Canberra 1992, and you'll be able to drill down to those photos of those facilities, those ramps. And then the biggest thing about that, and by the way, most of those photos David Pang's covered himself, but of course it won't just be his work; it'll be everybody else's. But the best thing about it, if you had imagery, either photo or video or whatever it was of that park, you then contribute to the conversation by, here's the photos I took when we were there, or even better, we were too young to get to the park, so we built our own ramp around the corner. Here's photos of that. And suddenly this pistachio of like this trail of skate history with comments from the people that were there. Not Facebook, but the similar kind of concept. The social aspect gets hard coded into the internet forever, so that you can always find and search it. There used to be a website called skateboard.com.au or skateparks.com.au, and it kind of had that going for a little while with the forum. But this is something that David Pang's doing, but he's not. It's not any genre, it's not any style, and it's not biased. It's just skateboarding, and man, I frothed at that. I was like, this is amazing. This is so cool. And I knew he was going to do that. He's been talking about it for a while, and the planning phase has been around for a long while, and the conversation has been there. But just to see it get to this point where he showed me some works in progress and some concepts and things, and it's like, dude, this is going to be amazing. And yeah, we sat there talking about this and that and skateboarding, and we walked around and he showed me everything, and one thing I'll say, and I was frothing at everything and just getting psyched at all the things he was showing me. And then he's like, oh yeah, check this too. I forgot about this. And we went down into this other downstairs area off to the side in this little basement area. And he was showing me something. I can't remember what it was. It was like either a truck or something. But I saw behind him on the wall hanging up was a board, and it was Pat Rhodes' Omni, which is, it's only significant if you're Australian. Pat Rhodes, potentially one of the greatest vert skaters in this country, who never really pursued it, but was equally as good as any of the touring pros. But he just, sorry, Pat, if you're watching, he's on, no one on Facebook, thankfully. I can say what I want. Pat Rhodes, just a little bit lazy, like just not interested in competing in the circuits and doing the travel, but could any of the nollie heel flips to fakie when they came out, he could do them, just learn it, taught himself, naturally gifted at skateboarding. And I met him in 2000, whenever I went to Adelaide the first time. Him, along with Simon Sack Reynolds and Matt Davis, they were the three people that said, you moved here to skateboard vert? Here's my number. and handed my number, said, whenever you want to skate, call me, we'll go together. Here's my number. And then became friends, you know, like such a solid dude. And the point of it was that in that era, he had a pro model with Omni skateboards, and he'd chosen the graphic of the Cooper's logo, which is Adelaide's greatest beer, potentially more than likely Australia's greatest beer. Yeah, I'd probably say, actually, I'd say Cooper's is Australia's greatest beer. Forget Foster's and forget Tooheys and forget the Hahn crap. Cooper's is the one. Anyway, he took the logo of the Cooper's red and just made it his own logo and called it Pat Rhodes Omni Model. And that was his deck. And it was a blatant copyright, right? Like blatancy, like complete and fraudulent. And like people bought it. Like it was a pro model. And so how did David Pang wind up with a used copy of Rhodesy's Omni Cooper's red model? Well, how do you think? He was at the airbag landing where he took photos, the photos that I was buying from him. He was at that comp, and Rhodesy must have set up a new deck during that competition. And then Pangy must have said, hey, well, what are you going to do with the old one? I'll buy it off you. And he bought it off him. He didn't buy it off him for himself. He bought it off him to document it and preserve it and put it on a wall. Okay, the wall's in an attic underneath his house, but it's there. People can see it. And then who knows, there might be a museum at some point for all of David Pang's collection. I mean, it certainly would fill a museum, and I'd go. That'd be the only museum I'd probably pay to go to, actually. So that was amazing. And then we went into this other downstairs area. This one was weird. He's like, you got to bend down under this, get under this. It's kind of low. It's like a little hobbit sort of cellar. And inside that little area, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's at least 7 garbage bins and the wheelie bin. In Australia, our bins are tall and they're on wheels, and they wheel them down to the street for the trucks to pick up. They're about, 5 or 6 feet tall kind of thing. And he had like 6 or 7 of those bins, lid closed, and he opened the first lid, and inside that bin was stuffed chock full skateboard decks, still in their plastic. So decks that he'd bought and still shrink wrapped. And he lifted every single lid up, and they were all full of boards. And those boards were boards that were bought of the era when these models came out. Whoever it was at Koala Skates, it could have been any like a Renton Miller first release, whatever it was, they were all in there, all shrink wrapped. It's like, you know what he did? He basically bought stuff to collect it. And there it is, just preserved. And I was like, this is amazing. And you know me, I love documenting and I love preserving. I mean, he had all the Skate and Life magazines and Slam magazines. He had the original stickers that came with them, all that cool stuff that I had. I actually gave all mine to Mulhall. He was collecting it, and I thought I should have given it to Pangy, but he already has it. So yeah, so that was Dugsky, rough day today. Our little 4-legged friend, 11 years passed away. Oh man, sorry to hear that, dude. Sorry to hear that. Hey, Comtech, how you doing? Yeah, that's rough. We had a dog for 20 years. Oh man, that's horrible. 11 years of dog life and now gone. Sorry to hear, man. That's a blow. That is a blow, Doug. Sorry to hear. I hope the family's doing well, man. So yeah, we sat there, we talked, and then I looked at my clock and I was like, I'm supposed to go from Canberra down to Wodonga, Albury Wodonga, which is a town kind of like further inland and further southwest. And we'd already taken up a fair amount of time just yapping away, like 3 hours. Like Pangy he gave lunch, he made lunch for me, and the time just went like that. And the next thing I know, dude, I'm not going to be able to get to Albury. So I changed my plan, cancelled this kind of rough, sort of loose schedule I had to meet up with another friend, Chris, and instead I decided to go southeast. So I wanted to go back to the coast, but I didn't want to go across Mount Kosciuszko. I don't think you can go directly east from Canberra. I know you can go northeast and end up in Braidwood, but I don't know about like sort of straight across the Kosciuszko. So you got to kind of go down and scour around it. This is the Great Dividing Range. Anyway, I wound up finding on WikiCamps, I found this free camp called 6 Mile Creek. And it did trigger something. I was like, 6 Mile Creek, why do I know that? But then I didn't think anything more of it, and I put it in the destination, and off I went. A couple of hours later, I rock up in 6 Mile Creek, and I'm like, this looks very familiar, but we didn't come in this way. You know what it was? It was the same 6 Mile Creek that Marty and I stayed at when we did our Kosciuszko mission a bunch of years earlier. But we came in from a different angle. So I came in from the back end from Cooma, and Marty and I came in from some other angle. I don't know, but it was the same place. And I was like, that's weird, man. What a strange thing. Yo, Crystal Rose on YouTube. I just came in to say hello and drop a like. Have an early day tomorrow. No worries. Peace and love. Thank you, Crystal Rose. Peace and love. Crystal, I know. Can you stick around just for a second, Crystal? Just if you're, can you give me 2 minutes of your time? Just two to 3 minutes. I'll stop this conversation and change something for you, because I'm assuming, peace and love, you're a H3 fan. Just confirm that first. You're a H3 fan, and then I want to ask you something. And I'll be pretty quick. I'll get it done quick. I won't waffle on. Okay, so you can stay, but now just confirm that you are, because peace and love gives it away. But yes, you are. Okay, so let me tell you this, Crystal. On my phone, I've got another video that I shot. I woke up one morning after a dream, and I've had another H3 dream, and I documented it at 4:30 a.m. or something. I documented it, but I said in the video, I'm documenting this so I can keep it, so I don't forget. You know when you wake up from a dream and then you don't write it down, you forget it? Well, I documented it to remember it, and I said, I'm not going to upload this because I think if I do, people will think I'm making this shit up. But I had another H3 dream, and it's a funny one. So I documented it, and the reason I'm asking now is I'm doing a backflip, and I think I should release it publicly, but I wanted to ask what people think, and specifically H3 fans. Would it come across as like, you know, oh, this guy's trying to cash in on this little H3 bump, and he's doing it again. Man, I've got no control over what I dream, right? You just go to bed and you start these weird dreams. That happened again, and it's fucked up and funny. And I have it because I document everything. I think you should upload it. All right, well, there's one. Okay, cool. Well, there's two, me and you. So I will ask others as they come in, and I'll confirm what I'm going to do, but I'm leaning towards publishing it and just taking the hate, because there will be hate from it, right? People will hate it. The family will definitely see it. And that's the other thing. I wouldn't be doing it, and I wouldn't be sending it to anybody. I'd just be posting it like I did that first one. And if it happens across their timeline and they do see it, then fine. And we can all have a bit of a laugh, but I'm not doing it to get that, to keep, it sounds weird because I definitely like the attention. There's no denying that, but that's not why I'm doing it. But if that comes from it, then so be it. So thank you, Crystal, for confirming. And you can split now. I know you said you got an early one. I just wanted to just jump in super quick and ask you for your thoughts on that. So I appreciate you. And stay tuned because I will upload that at some point. So yeah, getting back to this campsite. So 4 Mile Creek was it? Yes, no, 6 Mile Creek. 6 Mile Creek. That is the same place Marty and I stayed at, 100%. And I was like, wow. So that was pretty cool. I camped out. Didn't actually camp fully. Like I didn't set my awning and stuff up. I kind of want to hold off on doing that until we have the stream running correctly, you know? Yo, Jake, how you doing, man? Jake over on Twitch. How you going, man? So I didn't set up the stream. I didn't set up my awning, but I did camp out overnight and had a good time. Yeah, met some crew there that were camping, family and this and that. Had a fun one. Drank a bit. There was a fire and this and that. It was good, you know. In the morning, I went from there to the coast, and my plan was to look for a surf. Basically, there was nothing. It was flat as anything. Absolutely flat, considering how big. The week leading up to that trip, dude, just search up Monster Swell, New South Wales, April Fool's Day. Massive. And then the day I'm on the coast, well, I live on the coast, but the day I did this road trip, it was like, there's absolutely no swell. Like there was breaks that this guy was telling me you should go and check out Tathra and this Middle Beach and stuff. And there's just no swell, just completely flat. So I ended up going from there further north to Bateman's Bay, or a place called Long Beach, just north of Bateman's Bay, to catch up with Aretta. Aretta is an old friend of mine from the day, from the era, from the Shire, from Oyster Bay, Como, Janelli, all the crew, you know, like grew up together. Oddly enough, she is the sister of Adam Luxford, who is one of Australia's most loved vert skaters. It's kind of weird because me and Dave Pang spent all day or 3 hours or whatever talking about skateboarding, and this person, Adam, came up in the conversation a whole bunch. And then I go and catch up with his sister, and I'm like, we just spent hours talking about your brother. And it's like, that's a bit weird. It's like, yeah, I know. It is a bit weird. Only skateboarders could do that, you know? Only skateboarders could do that and not make it weird. That's the other thing, because it's not weird, but it is weird. So anyway, Aretta and I hadn't seen each other for a bunch of years, and she's been living down this way, and I've been saying I'll come down and see you, and I just haven't. I've just been super lazy or forgetful or a combination of thereof. So it was rad to see her, and yeah, we drank a lot. We drank 2 bottles of red and some scotch, and then there might have been some extra activity, and I woke up pretty dusty. I'm not gonna lie, pretty dusty. Pretty hungover. I haven't been hungover for a while. I certainly had a hangover on that morning. Thank you, Aretta. So then I went from there north, and the idea was to get a surf. I was actually going to call Boris. I did call him. He didn't answer, but Boris, another skateboarder. Funnily enough, Adam Luxford's best friend. This skateboarding world, I don't skateboard anymore, right? After that injury with my elbow and all that crap, I stopped 5-6 years ago, but I'm still in it, right? And there's no getting out. Once you're in, you're in, you know? I've been in since I was 11. I'm not getting out. Sure, I don't roll around on a board anymore, but I'm still, and this has sparked it again, you know? Sparked it, yeah. I'm not suggesting I'm going to start skating again, but it was really rad to just talk skateboarding and just be part of it again. So anyway, I called Boris. He didn't answer. He's got a new number. I called the new number. I made sure of it. He didn't answer. So the plan was to slowly crawl my way north and look for a break, you know, get a surf in. I've got my board there with me, and I'm like, I've got to get one. And I ended up getting to a place called Lake Taburi, which I call Lake Tabuli, just to be silly. It reminds me of kebabs, you know, tabbouleh and cheese and stuff. And in Lake Taburi, there was I've got to sneeze. Can I make it go away? Pinch your eyeballs, pinch your inner eyes, and you don't have to sneeze. No, it didn't work. Hold on. Excuse me. Yeah. What the hell was I saying? Oh, I can see stars. You know when you sneeze too hard and you see stars? It's like galaxies. Yeah, I got galaxies. They're gone now. Yeah, Lake Taburi. And yeah, there was a road that went in back of the lake, and it gets to a holiday haven, and then there's a beach, Taburi Beach, and there's some other beach there on the other side. I don't know what it was. There's an island there. It's kind of similar to Green Island and like Lake Conjola, kind of. Anyway, I start walking over thinking there's going to be no swell, and as I'm kind of clearing there's like the curvature of the earth. You flat earthers are going to love that. The sand was kind of you couldn't quite see the swell, and then finally you could see it, and I was like, holy shit, man, it's on fire out there. There was barreling waves, and it's like, dude, I just saw like one wave, and I'm like, that's it. Go back to my van, get all my shit together, get out there and get a wave in. The swell was perfect, like perfect, like really perfect. There was a couple of different sections. There was a reef. There was a reef that had a right and a left. Now, I'm a bit of a chicken when it comes to rocks and reefs, and if I don't know the area and there's a beach break and the beach break is firing, I'll take the beach break any day. And so there was about 6 dudes on the beach break and about 10 dudes on the reef. So I hit the beach break, and I got to tell you, I came away from that surf with the closest I've been to getting barreled. And when I say getting barreled, I mean now I know from this surf, I know, and you're about to see it too, I know what being inside the green room actually is, because it happened to me. So on my second wave, it barreled, and I saw it, and I tucked in, and it was not massive, but it was big enough to, I wasn't fully like crouched up. I was actually sort of standing up, but I did tuck my head down. I saw it, and I was like, this is going to barrel. And I'm like, oh, and it's barreling, and I'm watching it, and it's barreling, and all of a sudden I'm in inside of that pocket of just everything is green and then there's white, and then the next thing it closed in on me and it was all over. But it lasted about maybe a second and a half. And so it's not considered a barrel unless you ride out of it. That's considered like a cover over. So the barrel happened, and then it happened. Either I didn't position myself as best as I could because I'm learning, or the barrel just didn't provide that sort of potential for you to get out the other side. Either way, I want to show you the footage, and then when we come back, we'll get out of here and we'll start watching some content. Or if there's more people watching, I'll ask my question again and see what the answer is in the chat. We've already got one yes from Crystal Rose and one from me, but I might ask it again. But anyway, I've got the video of that surf. Enjoy. I'll be right back with a coffee. Get too excited, but holy shit, that is the closest I've been to a barrel, right? Certainly sizable. Hey, Graffini! Graffini, you've changed your handle. Cool session. Thank you, man. It was fun, man. Really good. Really good. Let me ask you this, dude. You're just here now for the first time. Did you hear the conversation earlier with Crystal Rose at all? I don't know if you were here for that. I'll ask it anyway. But so I'm trying to gather your people's thoughts, trying to get the viewers' thoughts. I have a video here on my phone that I recorded after a dream. So I had this dream and I woke up and I documented it because I wanted to remember it. And I even say in the document, I'm not going to upload this because I want to document it. I want to keep it for myself. The dream is about the H3 podcast again. And so in the last week or so since that happened, it happened on Thursday. It's now Monday. I've had a turnaround and I think I'm going to share it. And I want to ask whether you think I should or not. The reason I might not share it, or the reason I thought I shouldn't, is because people will think I'm making it up. People will say, this guy's full of shit. He's just trying to cash in on this H3 thing, and he's doing all this for the views. The thing is, I know I'm not. Those that know me will know I'm not. And the dream's funny. And it's also weird that I'm having these dreams of the H3 podcast. So fuck it all and release it is how I'm thinking now. But when it happened, I was thinking, no one's going to believe this. They're going to give me, I'm going to get hate on the internet because, there are all kinds of wrong out there. So I'm asking people as they come in, what should I do? Should I release it or not? Crystal Rose said you should release it. I agree. And I'm asking you, Graffini, what do you think? The video's here. I'm not going to show you guys it until it's until it's live, but you can see. At least I'll show you, so you know I'm not making this up. That's what the video looks like. So you'll be able to see that when the video goes live, you can say, okay, that's the video, because you can see it there, right? Well, it's not focused, but you can see it, what the content looks like. Graffini, are you here? Are you here? I guess you're not here. Let's move on then. What do we got here? Lefties losing it. Snowflake. Joy Behar's latest meltdown. Okay. Political,
It's time for Lefties losing it. Let's start with just how nasty, bitter and full of hate the modern left has become. This next woman is so demented with hate that she wants you and your children and your grandchildren to die.
Oh,
That's
shit.
not hyperbole. It's precisely what she says.
I would like for you to die of measles, of polio, of all the horrible diseases that living in this country, in this bubble of privilege and ignorance and morbid stupidity, you've had the luxury of not having to worry about it because it doesn't really affect you. I hope it affects you. I hope it affects your children and your grandchildren. I hope it guts your community.
Damn.
That will make my life meaningful and extremely happy.
Charming. She
Sounds like a lovely woman. Would love to be her friend.
wants your family to die and your community to be gutted. It'd make her happy, that's what she said. That's from the side that likes to portray itself as tolerant and compassionate. And they also like to portray themselves as intelligent and educated. Let's hear from this young lefty who praises Hamas and claims that Israeli hostages have also praised Hamas, and in particular Hamas's complex organisational skills.
Long live Hamas, long live, their really complex organizational skills that, even Israeli hostages have talked about their admiration and respect for, based off of what Trump has said about his business endeavors in Gaza. I think that he will definitely try to do so. I definitely think Hamas and the other resistance groups are gonna probably kick his ass and kill a bunch of people if they are trying to do anything to Gazans' home.
Now to Joy Behar from The View.
Quite political, this video, obviously. Never wanted to be a political streamer, but here it is, coming across my radar. Who put this in the chat? Oh, this is from Duncan. This isn't in the Discord. This is Duncan DMing me.
The insane
Duncan, if you're watching, hello.
asylum masquerading as a TV show. Here she claims that it's the right that are snowflakes. And then she seems to indulge in some democracy denial. Is she really questioning that Donald Trump won the election?
By the way, there's such snowflakes on the right. If you say anything about them, they're going to the lawyers in 2 seconds. Bannon he's out there saying that Trump won the election. We know he didn't win the election.
Let's check in with alleged comedian Stephen.
Wait. When did this go live? Trump won the election fair and square. This is 2 weeks old? Okay. Is there still a faction of people considering that Trump didn't win the election? Is that a thing?
Colbert, who had billionaire Reid Hoffman on his show. This is the guy who has funded lawfare against Donald Trump and has in the past been forced to apologise for spreading disinformation during a Senate race, and he also had to say sorry for suggesting that the Trump assassination attempt was a false flag. But he's a lot more shy these days. Well, he was on Colbert anyway. Watch here as Stephen Colbert tries to get him to attack Elon Musk. But this is the best Hoffman could do.
You know, Elon. Should we trust what's going on?
Well, I think, let me put it this way. What I want to say is that as Americans, we should be trying to help as much as possible, right? We want government efficiency.
Yes.
But obviously, we could do it in a much less cruel and much more lawful manner.
Yes, cutting government waste and spending on mad green and trans projects is very cruel indeed. But a very timid response there, not like the Reid Hoffman.
Hey, Daleski, what a do, Dale. Good, I'm glad you're here, man. I'm going to pause that. I'm not very political, but this is extremely polarizing. But I want to ask you, Dale, okay. I've been asking everybody else as they come in. So far, we've had Crystal Rose answer, and she said yes, and I've said yes. Graffini didn't say anything, but I'm going to ask you here. So I had a dream, and I woke up from it, and I immediately recorded it so I could preserve it, document it. It's a video. It's just me in bed retelling the dream relatively quickly, to the point. In the video, I say, I'm not going to publish this because I just want to keep this. I'm recording it so I can keep it so that when you have a dream and then you go back to sleep and you wake up an hour later and you've completely forgotten it. I wanted to preserve it. The thing is, it's another H3 podcast related dream. And in that video, I say, I'm not going to publish this because people will think I'm making it up and I'll get hate for it. Of course, once I'd gone back to sleep and then woken up later on, I watched it back and I was like, that's the funniest shit ever. I must publish that. So here I am asking everybody I can, what do you think? Should I publish it or should I not publish it? It's a very raw video of a dream that's stupidly, it's just dumb, right? It's just silly. It's just so weird that it happened again. And I'm confuddled. Dreams are often wish fulfillment or conflict resolution. Wish fulfillment, but it only happens in the dream. Or conflict resolution. There's no conflict. So, I mean, obviously, okay, so let's break it down. Obviously, I enjoyed the little boost that the H3 podcast gave my channel. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the new crew that came onto the channel because of it. I enjoyed the number go up. Would I want that again? Of course I would. Any creator will want that. So there's no denying that having that existing thing happen helped. And then there's no denying that potentially having it happen again will help again. But that's not the reason, I don't think, that I had the dream. I dream about all kinds of weird shit and I document it and I talk about it. This time I'm in two minds as to what to do with it because of the nature of what it is. Dale's sitting on the fence. I'd say it's your call whether to publish it or not. It's up to you. That's not how you answer that kind of question, man. I'm asking for your opinion. You can't say, and for my answer, I'll defer back to you. No, I'm asking your answer. Like, what's your take on it? Fucking hell, man. Get off that fence for once. Go for it. Okay, so that's okay. So you said yes. Okay, cool. And I'm being silly, of course, about sitting on the fence, but You wouldn't want to be the fool who stays on the fence. Who did that? Yo, 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 yo. There lies the joy. Yank my chains. Hello on D-Live. How you doing, Yankskis? What's cracking? Yank my chains. Streaming on D-Live, huh? I am too. Hello. What's cracking on D-Live? The D-Live machine. The fool on the fence. Yeah, Dale. Yeah. Yeah, so it looks like I'm going to release it, and when I do, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to reach out to anybody. I'm not going to tag anybody. I'm going to say, I had another dream about the H3 podcast. And in the description, I'll say, people will think this is fake. People might think, no, let's not give them that much credit. People may say this is fake. It's not. Here's the dream. That's it. Do you remember Chunky Monkey? I do not remember Chunky Monkey coming into your chat and insulting you. I don't remember that. I remember that happening, people coming into my chat and insulting me. I don't remember any handles about it. And when are you talking about? Like, what era are you talking about here? When did this happen? And why should I remember it? To be frank, like, if you ring me, I will publish your number. That is not real. If you ring me, I will publish your number. Let's continue on.
Owned and loathed over the years. Let's hear from Elon Musk now. He was talking about his fellow tech billionaire in a Joe Rogan interview not long ago.
4 years ago? You think I can remember that shit from a single stream? Hell no. I have a recording of your reaction. He told you to read his bio. I mean, I don't know, dude. There's been a lot that's gone down between then and now, and even back then. He said, if you're reading this, you already lost. He said, if I'm reading this or if I was reading that. Why are you bringing this up? Yeah, what's the deal with this crap? Are we getting trolled? Is this a D-Live troll? Come on, man. You're going to have to get up a lot earlier to get me, dude. Nice try.
Epstein clients, who are obviously extremely powerful, they're powerful politically and very wealthy, are Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, and Reid Hoffman. Why was Reid Hoffman so intent on destroying Trump?
Do you think it's because they're worried about the list coming out?
Yeah, one of the reasons.
Fascinating.
It's a good memory. You know what's funny? Whether it's a good or a bad memory, this is the funny part about that. You say that's been 4 years ago. Why would I remember you from 4 years ago in my chat? You remember me because I'm the streamer, but I've got no memory of you or this other person you're talking about. Then why would I? Like, what? In what world would a streamer remember one handle in a chat? There's nothing to remember about that. It sounds like something a troll would enjoy. It sounds lame. Yeah, I'm with you, Dale. Yeah. Like, it's a bit flattering as well, because it means for 4 years you've held on to my name. You've known who I am for 4 years, and I couldn't give a flying fuck who you are. But for 4 years, here you are still in my chat. Interesting. Huge Jane AS. Hugh Janus. Hello, Janus. How you doing? Thanks for following.
For some local lefties losing it, and let's check in with Tasmanian Senator in the Australian Parliament. This woman is a senator in the Australian Parliament. Her name is Jackie Lambie, and she's mad about US tariffs on Australian aluminium.
Hey Dale, are you a mod in my D-Live? Are you a mod in my D-Live? Look at this tool now in Kick. Wow, I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna really read that comment about getting my channel boosted. That sounds really legit. Awesome, dude. Thank you so much for coming in. I'm a mod here. Just go ahead and ban both of those handles, dude. Just ban them. Get them done. Ban them.
And steel. Listen to how she would handle this issue. Talk about delusions of grandeur. It really is quite scary to think this woman is a senator.
Quite frankly, we don't owe the United States anything. You have one or two choices. You can sit here in a corner now and you can do nothing and let them walk all over the top of us, or you can continue to play the nice game, which, by the way, has not done anything to help us. So now it's about time you started hitting them back where it hurts. And these things will hurt. I can tell you, if they do not have access to Pine Gap and the communications there, then they are not gathering any intelligence over this side of the world. This is huge. So just warn them. We will close their intelligence off.
It's huge, folks. It's huge. And Jackie Lambie is no stranger to
That woman sounded like really enthusiastically engaged in that.
saying wildly unhinged stuff. Remember this when she called for Elon Musk to be imprisoned for insisting that X be a free speech platform?
Musk has no social conscience or conscience whatsoever. I don't know, whatever Elon Musk is on, it says that that's okay to continue to air that is absolutely disgusting behaviour. And quite frankly, the bloke should be jailed. And the sooner that we can bring rules in or do something about this sort of...
Just got to close my door, one sec. It's surprisingly hot today. I'm going to crank up the AC.
This sort of game playing with our social media, the better off we're going to be. But quite frankly, the power that man has, because of that platform that he's on, it's got to stop.
And let's not forget this meltdown on Sky News last year.
So when it comes to the tech billionaire, like I've already said, I think he's a social media knob with no social conscience. He has absolutely no social conscience. Someone like that should be in jail and the key be thrown away. That bloke should not have a right to be out there on his own ideology platform.
I just want to tell you how it feels. Thank you for the diamond there. A diamond for old time's sake. Thank you, man. Now, you heard the alert, right? You heard the alert. I'm sure you did. But there was something funky going on with those the other day, but I think we fixed it. I just want to tell you how it feels. Now, if Jay was doing those... if Jay was making electric skateboard videos now, it'd be, I just want to tell you how it feels. Didn't hear the alert? Shit. Hold on a second, man. Really? That's not right. Control audio via OBS. That should be right. Let me just check these. Tidy Labs alerts. Has Tidy Labs gone down? Ah, no, I beg your pardon. It was monitor only, mute output. Ooh, I must have changed that at my end. Interesting. I've now fixed it. You will definitely hear it. Just drop a ninja just to check. You want to be sure. Just just to be sure. I'm just kidding. Drop a diamond or drop a lemon. You'll hear it. It'll be. What's up? Lemon is my. No. Lemon is what? Remember we used to do wow? I think it's Mayunis. Wow.
Who exactly is spreading hate, Jackie? Perhaps look in the mirror. Now we've got plenty more lefties losing it content with my next guest.
Yo, Cosmic Richie, how you doing, man? Over on Partai, I'm voting for Libertarian due to their policy on Bitcoin. Okay. Ninja? Okay, sure, no problem. Okay, good to see you. Good to see you too, Cosmic Richie. I always love when you swing in because you come in from party and you like talking crypto. I like that. By the way, I looked at my... Wow! Thank you for the lemon there. There you go. You heard that, surely. I looked at my portfolio the other day and I was down like quite a substantial amount. And I was like, what's going on? What are the things that are dumping? Bitcoin was under 80 grand. That's not happened for a while. Bitcoin was 79,000. What is it now? It's even further down. Where it's down the bottom of my list. 76,000. Holy shit, dude. That's a good time to be not buying. Not financially advising you here, but 76,000. Interesting. Everything's down. And PulseX was down into the 4 zeros, 1759. Even Pulse is down 4 zeros. Wow! 1956. The Great Conspiracy. Thanks for the lemon. The Great Conspiracy over on DLive. I'm feeling a lot of DLive love right now. Can someone also just add me back to the Discord? If you really want to show the DLive love, Cosmic Richie, my portfolio is hurting. Yeah, man. It's the time to have conviction, is it not? When there is price action as low as it is right now, it's the time to say, I believe. You know what though? It's funny. It's not funny. It's just really bad timing. My day job has been closed for a week. They scheduled a week off, a week and a half actually. Yeah, or a week and 2 days. They scheduled this. They told us ages ago we're going to shut the business down and actually have a holiday ourselves. It's fair enough. They do that. And so right now is the time that I would like to have a little extra, let's say, cash floating around. I haven't got any at all. In fact, I'm down because I haven't been earning anything. So I would be buying if I had the money, but I don't, so I won't. I'll be watching from a distance and hoping that this lasts longer and keeps going lower. Diamond hands, baby, always. Yeah. Buy low, sell high, investing 101. And at that point, Dale, you're not going to say, you're going to say it doesn't matter. No, you're going to, what are you going to say? You're not going to specifically say what you should invest in, but the theory remains buy low, sell high. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. And I agree. I was just going to see if we could have a quick drill into the Pulse ecosystem. Even on CoinMarketCap, see, Pulse is still at 2. Nope, down. 4 zeros 1954, and Pulse X 4 zeros 1611. That's down 19% on the daily. It can't get much lower, can it? But it will. Let's continue.
Senior Editor-at-Large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel Josh Hammer. We're going to look at some
This guy's called Josh Hammer? No shit.
Astonishing polling data that's just come out. Brace yourself, lefties. It ain't pretty. But let's start by hearing from Vice President J.D. Vance on Europe and civilizational suicide.
That is the cradle of Western civilization. The entire idea of Christian civilization that led to the founding of the United States of America, that was formed in Europe. Europe is at risk, I think, of engaging in civilizational suicide. They are unable to or unwilling, too many countries, to control their borders. You see them starting to push back against that, and good. That's a good thing. You see them start.
Look how straight that. Got a little notebook there. Little water bottle on the side. Is that a water bottle? Oh. Okay. We're back. Replay started on DLive. I'll just stop it and start it again on DLive. But we are back. Man, I gotta tell you. It might have started again. I'll just check. Moved here. It'll be back on DLive. It was me. Let me just check this on DLive machine. My channel. No, it says we're live. No, we're good. It just okay. So it dropped. Man, I got to tell you that I was mid rant there, but my internet has dropped a number of times in the last few weeks. It's either a setting I've done in OBS. Let me just check. There was an auto reconnect setting, but we have dropped video audio output. Still here. Yeah, still there. Cause yeah, it should be good now. But there was a setting change. No. There's been an OBS update, which I haven't installed yet. Automatically reconnect. Retry delay 1 second. I'm putting the retry delay down as low as... Oh, that's as low as it gets? 0 seconds. Oh, you got to... Dale, by the way, your new IRL thing is weird as hell. Let me just touch on that ever so briefly, because I will be dedicating an actual stream to that. Let me just say this. The product doesn't work. The product... Yeah, the slowdowns and the out of sync stuff. Let me just tell you, like, I know I know why. I know what that is, and the response that I got from Kilo View will blow your socks off. When I do the stream, I'll tell you all about it. But they did respond about that, and it'll fuck you right, left of center. It's just a strange reply. So the bottom line is, tested it, will not use it again. Moving on, but I will do a stream discussing my findings from that product. But wow, let me just warn you. Wow. Crazy what they say. Crazy. Horrible response, but that's coming.
To limit the free speech of their own citizens, even as those citizens are protesting against things like the border invasion that got Donald Trump and a number of European leaders elected. So look, I want Europe to thrive. I want them to be an important ally. Part of that is going to be Europe respecting its own people, respecting its own sovereignty, and America can't do that job for them. If you have a country like Germany, where you have another few million immigrants come in from countries that are totally culturally incompatible with Germany, then it doesn't matter what I think about Europe. Germany will have killed itself, and I hope they don't do that because I love Germany and I want Germany to thrive.
Josh is talking about the strange death
there's a little
of Europe.
Twitch
I think I read a good
notification.
book about that. The suicidal
Little Twitch
stupidity of
notification.
European leaders.
Thank you so much, whatever that was. I don't know what those donations are on Twitch, but that did pop up there. I guess that's a Botrix emote. Thank you.
Who have forsaken their own populations, their own countries, but expect the US, and that includes US taxpayers, to step in and protect them.
Rita, I don't think that I heard a single word there that JD Vance is wrong about, frankly. I mean, I'm not sure that I love Germany as much as he does, frankly, but I mean, other than quibbling there, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong at all with what we just...
Is this guy promoting a book? By the look of it, he's got a whole bunch of these Israel and Civilization right there. Josh Hammer, he's promoting his book. No shit.
Heard. I mean, Europe has been committing cultural, economic suicide. They've been committing...
Was that you over on Twitch, Miss Solo Dolo 007? Hello. Oh, that could be Mr. Solo Dolo. Hello. Do you not stream on Twitch? Yes, I'm on Twitch right now. You're watching on Twitch. I'm answering you on Twitch. Hello.
Every form of suicide that a nation state can commit, and part of that is because they don't actually think of themselves as nation states. I mean, that's kind of the problem in the first place there. I mean, going all the way back to the Maastricht Treaty in Europe in the early 1990s.
Who did that? Who did that? Yo, Jake, how you doing, man? Jakeski, hosting over on D-Live. Thanks, Jake. How you going, man?
Predecessor to the modern European Union. You know,
thank you for the lemon.
Hook, line, and sinker in the post-Berlin Wall, post-Cold War era. They really went hook, line, and sinker down the rabbit hole of post-nationalism, the idea of transnationalism, that we're all going to be just one continent, one economy, heck, one currency. While we're out there, let's have the Eurozone, let's have a common currency, one central bank. What could possibly go wrong with this picture here? But when you start going down that rabbit hole, Rhea, you start treating all commodities and all human beings as one and the exact same thing. You're bringing in people from the hostile cultures that have nothing to do with your history there. You inevitably are going to lose any sense of nationhood in the first place there. So then you kind of combine that with these free speech censorship regimes. It's very, very, very dark stuff. And it's about time that someone is trying to put Europe in their place. It's trying to remind them, frankly, of what they were and what they could be again. It's kind of a friendly nudge from a former and hopefully soon to be again fulsome ally that Europe needs. I'm not sure they're going to listen, Rita, but hopefully they do.
Josh, let's look at some polling data, and there's no other way to put it. These are disastrous figures for the Democrats. Their favourability rating has dropped to a record low, according to CNN polling. CNN, folks, among the American public overall, the Dems' favourability rating is at just 29%. And what's interesting, Josh, is that even among Democrat voters, there is just great dissatisfaction. The approval rating there is low, and the majority believe the party's headed in the wrong direction.
Well, there's multiple reasons for thinking that, right? I mean, first of all, just look at the fact that this party just simply cannot give up on its cultural militants. They cannot give up on their woke culture war they have been waging against the American people for years and years, arguably decades now. We saw that just at Trump's joint presidential address to the Congress about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago or so. They literally couldn't be bothered to get off their butts to applaud for Peyton McNabb, this high school girl who suffered traumatic
Hey, thanks, Jake. Thanks for tweeting out the stream, man.
Brain injury because of a biological male. They couldn't be bothered to get off their butts to applaud for the family of Laken Riley, who was tragically murdered by an illegal alien who had no business whatsoever being in the United States. They're consistently taking radical positions. I mean, the transgender sports issue is literally an 80-20 issue. And even when you have someone like Gavin Newsom, who we obviously should not believe or he says, but when he's trying to stake out, at least rhetorically, purportedly, a moderate stance there, he is immediately shot down by party elites there. By the way, Rita, they're also tearing apart the seams. I mean, look at this at the CR that just passed the Congress this past Friday there. I mean, Chuck Schumer leading a brigade of 9 Democrats voting alongside Senate Republicans there. He's being chewed out by Hakeem Jeffries in the U.S. House there. I mean, even these Democratic leaders from the same state, heck, from the same borough, they're both from Brooklyn. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are both Brooklyn boys, and they're openly fighting on the national stage there to shut down the government, to not shut it down. So they're not on the same page. They're taking radically unpopular issues. The party's a veritable dumpster fire, frankly, and they have no one to blame for this whatsoever other than themselves.
And there's more bad news for lefties everywhere, including Bill Maher, who seems to think that Trump voters are all having massive amounts of regret at the moment. Watch this exchange between him and Batia Unga-Sargon, who will be on the program later in the week. This just shows you how divorced from reality so many lefties are, even supposedly sensible ones like Bill Maher.
I'm just wondering what you think now. We're approaching 2 months in. I mean, you must have a feeling in your gut. Look me in the eye and tell me you don't, that this is really going badly and I shouldn't have thrown my lot in with this team.
Oh, no, I feel the opposite.
All right.
But Josh, let's look at the data that's just come out earlier today from NBC News. 3 months into his second term, President Trump has hit his highest ever approval rating. And Josh, more Americans say the country is in the right track than
just
at
ignore
any
it.
other point in
Jake,
the last
just ignore it.
21 years, since 2004. And that is incredible given the relentless negative media.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. So in some polling, Trump's approval rating has slipped at least a little bit relative to his highs on January 20th. But Rita, the thing that you have to bear in mind here is that Donald Trump started the presidency with what for contemporary American politics is actually like sky high approval ratings there. He basically had the highest approval rating on day one of his presidency that he had for his entire term there. Some current polls show that he has maintained that level of support. Some show that it slipped a little bit, but it's still actually very, very high relative to the past few presidents there. I mean, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, these were not particularly highly approved presidencies. So even relatively speaking there, Donald Trump is completely swimming in high waters here. Then you compare it to
Everybody
the
loves him.
Democratic Party approval rating that you and I were just talking about. I mean, Donald Trump is at this point orders of magnitude more popular than the Democratic Party. And there's a reason for that, Rita, which is that his policies are common sense policies. I mean, over the weekend, the big spat here in the United States was this separation of power showdown between Donald Trump and this puny little judge in Washington, D.C., purporting to say that you cannot deport these Tren de Aragua horrific transnational criminal gangbangers and these rapists and murderers and thugs there. Guess what? That's popular. Deporting thugs, deporting gangbangers, rapists, murderers, that happens to be actually very popular with the American people. Deporting someone like Mahmoud Khalil at Columbia University, someone who is here on a green card, who's not even a U.S. citizen, who's openly espousing the Hamas-Hezbollah party line, deporting him, that's popular. So the Democrats, again, whether it's the transgender issue, whether it's this, they just continue to take unpopular positions. Donald Trump just does the commonsensical thing because he has this whole MAGA coalition, this coalition of the common sense. It's not an ideologically right-wing coalition. It's just a coalition that wants to do the simple median American sentiment there, and that's why he's so popular right now.
Well, you
That's
mentioned
true.
that, Judge, and the Democrats, the media, are constantly bleating about a constitutional crisis, Donald Trump causing a constitutional crisis. But it seems the crisis is from these activist judges. And the one you just mentioned, essentially trying to subvert the will of the people, the president's power.
Dowski, everyone is free to have their own position on political issues. However, if you go for Trump, then you can't, is what I think you were going to say. If you support Trump, you can't have an opinion. You can't have that opinion, can you?
This U.S. district judge issuing a 14-day restraining order to prevent a deportation of these criminals. And the Trump administration has just ignored it and has sent these people to El Salvador. Let's have a look at some vision of them arriving in El Salvador, where they're going to serve their prison terms, and it's going to cost the American taxpayer considerably less, Josh.
I don't understand the irrational, mindless behavior. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's politics has always been divisive, though, right? There's always been one side versus the other, and I don't think it doesn't feel like from the outside looking in, from an Australian looking into American politics, it doesn't seem like there's ever been a time where the leader has been so like hell-bent on making America great, like doing the right thing and using that as that's the draw card. What I want to do, if I get in, I want to make this country the best it's ever been. I want to do that. So if you vote for me, I'll make Australia, I'll make America great again. I think that's a great concept, like that should be what everyone wants from their leader. We want our country, it's USA number one, right? Like what? Yeah, do it. And he's doing it. And people aren't liking it. Some people are loving it. He's going to go for a third term. He's going to change. I mean, is there any chance that he can do that? Actually, let's ask Chattis Jeepus Tius. That's full screen. That always fucks me up. Hang on a second. Let me just bring down the machine of chat. How do you go for it? You can't, the third term thing doesn't seem like it's a possibility, right? Let me pull this down, Skins. Where is the Chat GPT? Here we go. Count me in the loving category. Hell yeah. Okay, that's big enough. Let's zoom it in. Can Trump actually run for a third term? Under the 22nd Amendment, ratified in 1951, no person can be elected to the office of president more than twice. This amendment was enacted following Franklin D. Roosevelt's 4-term presidency. Okay, so someone did, just not you guys. Currently, Donald Trump has served 2 non-consecutive terms, having been elected in 2016 and 2024. Therefore, he is constitutionally barred from seeking a third term. While President Trump has suggested exploring methods to circumvent this restriction, such as proposing to run as vice president under J.D. Vance, the idea that he could assume the presidency if Vance resigns, little backdoor entrance there. Legal experts widely dismiss these ideas as unfeasible. Changing the Constitution to allow a third term would require an unlikely supermajority in Congress, ratification by a third. Let me put this out there. That's what he's going to do. He's going to do it via Constitution. That's how he'll do it. He won't do this little backdoor entrance. He'll change the Constitution. He'll get it ratified by 3/4 of the states. Dalesky, Trump needs to pass the torch to another competitive conservative with same policies, in my opinion. That's crazy, Cosmic Richie. I reckon that's what he'll do. In summary, despite President Trump's expressions of interest in pursuing a third term, the constitutional limitations and legal barriers make such a scenario highly improbable. So I'm going to say, so you are saying he could do it if he wanted. Technically, no, he can't. The US Constitution is super clear. No one can be elected president more than twice. Now, Trump has floated the idea of finding a workaround. No, not that workaround. I'm saying he could have the Constitution changed to allow it. Right? Gotcha. Yes, you're totally right. If that is technically possible to change the Constitution to allow a third term, but it's incredibly unlikely because there's 3 points here. Proposal phase. 2/3 of both the House and Senate would have to approve. 2/3 of both the House and Senate. He wouldn't get that, would he? 2/3 of state legislatures, 34 out of 50, could call for a constitutional convention. Cosmic Richie, I'm betting Vance president in 2028 and Vivek Ramaswamy for VP. Okay. Ratification phase, 3/4 of the states. I'm betting Elon somehow. I know he can't because he's born in South Africa, but I reckon he can somehow wangle it. 3/4 of the states would need to ratify the amendment. That's a massive political hurdle, especially for something as controversial as letting a president serve more than 2 terms. Public opinion would play a huge role. I mean, he's got that already. Historically, Americans have been very wary of presidents overstaying their time. So yes, he could push for a constitutional amendment, but the odds of it actually succeeding practically zero in the current climate. Still, you're totally right to say it's in the realm of constitutional possibility. Okay. Change topic slightly. How about Elon running? I know only US-born people are permitted to run, but, is there a way? Let's see. The classic, could Elon run for president question? I love it. You're spot on that only natural-born US citizens can run for president. Elon Musk was born in South Africa, so under current law, he's not eligible. Just like with Trump's hypothetical 3rd term, here's the breakdown of what could happen. The current rule is a hard stopper, no. US Constitution, Article 2, Section 1 says the president must be a natural-born citizen. It's a bit racist, isn't it, Just saying. That means someone who is a citizen from birth, but someone who became... That means someone who was a citizen from birth, not someone who became a citizen. Offline again? That's definitely at your end this time, Dale. There's no reports at my end, dude. That's at your end this time. So suck shit. It's not me. It's not me at all. Yeah, it's definitely you at that point. Yeah, so not someone who became a citizen later on. Thank you, Cosmic, for clarifying. Yeah, it's definitely at your end, Dale, that one. You can have that one. Yeah, so suck shit. I said that under my breath because I know Dale will find it funny. Under the rules as written, Elon cannot run. Could the Constitution be changed? Yeah, just like with the 2-term limit, constitutional amendment could be passed to remove or redefine natural-born clause. Some gnarly process would need 2/3 of Congress. Okay, so the same things again. 3/4 of the states ratify it. The idea has been floated before. In fact, back in the early 2000s, there was a proposed amend for Arnold. Keeps buffering. I think it's at your end. Nope. Everything's clear at my end, dude. That's definitely at your end this time, Dale. Oh, well, definitely your end, dude. No problems at my end. So yeah, Arnold wanted to run. He's Austrian, right? Okay, so I had one other question. Clean on party? Yeah, man, it's certainly your end, Dale. Just saying. The question I had then is isn't that's going to be weird? Isn't that weird? Yeah, that's going to be weird. Isn't that a bit racist? Let's see. That's a really fair question. It cuts deep into the philosophical start of what the US Constitution is trying to do versus actually how it works. Let's break it down. Natural born citizen rule, is it race? Natural born citizen rule, is it race? What? How did my what's playing in the background doubling up? Is it DLive? That was weird. That is weird, dude. That's very weird. My stream just played in the back end somewhere. I'm looking at where it could have come from. Not seeing where that came from. Not seeing where that came from. That's coming from Kick. That's coming from Kick. My bad. Usually Kick is good. When you open up a browser tab in Kick of the stream, it usually has it muted. But for this instance, it's not muted. Oh, look, Kick is weird. Kick is offline. Dale, yes, you're dead right. Kick is sketching out. Kitch is sketching out. I see that. That's interesting. Kick is sketched out. It's not me though. My internet's fine and everywhere else is fine, but Kick is sketchy. Press F in the chat. Fully. Yeah, I'm going to put it there myself. Yeah, Kick is definitely sketchy. I see that. I can see that. And that's why it was playing slightly in the background. Bizarre. I can't do any. My suggestion would be go over to Beam. Or DLive. Or Party. Start earning party points, Dale. Get over to Party, man. Start earning the points. I'll stay here on DLive. Okay. Yeah, okay. I guess what? When that happens, you do me a favor, just check other platforms as well. Okay. When you say you're down, I'll immediately look at my bitrate. And if it's off, I'll know that it's me. But that wasn't the case. But 100% Kick is sketchy right now. I'll stop it on Beam and then start it again on Kick. I just stopped it on Beam and then I'll just restart it. I'll let it stop for a moment or two and then I'll start it again. Just out of curiosity to see if that fixes it. I mean, I'm not that worried about it because we do have other platforms, but we'll see if that fixes it. I'll just browser refresh that browser. Is it playing? Don't think it's up. I wonder if Beam is down as a whole. If Kick is down as a whole.
We see you. Gives it a minute. We see you.
We see you. We don't see you, Kick. I wonder if Kick is down. No. Other streamers are up. Interesting. I don't know. Interesting. Now it's playing. I don't know. Now it's playing. All right. Let's continue on. Is it racist? Is the natural born citizen rule racist? Not explicitly. It's not about race or ethnicity. It's about place of birth and citizenship status at birth. So, for example, a child born to Mexican immigrants in the US is eligible, but someone born in Sweden who moved to the US at age 1 becomes a citizen is not. It's a bit iffy, isn't it? Is it xenophobic or nationalist? It's definitely those two. It's totally fair to say it has nationalist roots. It's written in the 1700s in the wake of America fighting for a war of independence against a monarchy. Founders were deeply worried about foreign influence. G'day, Dalesky. Yo, Dusky. Yeah, look, it's not racist. It's interesting, though. And it can be changed, but it would take a majority, and it probably more than likely isn't going to happen. Let's continue on with where we were here.
So 3 cheers for the Trump administration here. Hip, hip, hooray. I love how they have handled this spat with the judge. I love how they have handled this operation in general here. So Donald Trump invoking a seldom used 1798 statute called the Alien Enemies Act, literally goes back to the John Adams presidency, essentially giving him slightly more power than he normally has when it comes to expediting removals for certain types of aliens here who are essentially at war with the country. And I think this, Rita, is probably where the left is disagreeing with President Trump. They're saying that, oh, Tren de Aragua, the Sinaloa cartel, the Jalisco cartel they're not actually at war with the United States. But actually, yes, they are. Actually, they literally are. I mean, the amount of Americans that have died along the U.S.-Mexico border over the past 15, 20 years or so. I mean, frankly, just focusing on the fentanyl issue alone, the amount of Americans who have tragically overdosed and died from fentanyl that's been shipped across the Mexican border there, it's completely sky high there. So invoking this statute, Trump got these 25 Venezuelan nationals, these non-citizens there, and sent them packing to Nayib Bukele down in El Salvador because this binational agreement between the U.S. and El Salvador. The judge tries to stop it, but this is bogus on multiple grounds. One is that the planes were literally in the air with these Venezuelans in them. They actually weren't even over United States airspace. They were over international waters. So good luck, judge, trying to issue your temporary restraining order where it's literally not even in the country anymore. The broader issue, Rita, something that I've been bleeding about for the past 2 months here, this idea that one judge in the United States in our constitutional system has, under the judicial power of which our Constitution speaks, the notion that one judge can just shut down the entire federal government and call it a temporary restraining order is total garbage. That makes the judiciary a fundamentally tyrannical branch. It would have struck people everywhere from Thomas Jefferson to Abraham Lincoln as completely antithetical to the separation of powers that alone can protect individual liberty. I am dying for the United States Supreme Court to finally take one of these cases and rule that these so-called nationwide injunctions are here, there, and everywhere unconstitutional. May it happen ASAP.
Well said.
Hallelujah. Before you go, I want to just play you this little clip from Bill.
Also, can they change the 3-term thing.
Billionaire Reid Hoffman, he was on Stephen Colbert's awful program. He wasn't asked about his dealings with Jeffrey Epstein. That would have been interesting. But he was asked to essentially slam Elon Musk.
But government and companies are not the same, right? The way that you're running governments shouldn't be the same way you're running companies.
Do you know what Mussolini?
We want government efficiency.
Yes.
But obviously, we could do it in a much less cruel and much more lawful manner.
What do you make of
Dugsky, as soon
Reid
as you mentioned
Hoffman's
Trump,
take on things?
as soon as you mentioned Trump, you split the US in half in opinion, same as everywhere. Yeah, and we said I hit that as well. We said that it's very divisive just by nature of. There's always going to be half that are in and half that are out for sure. Yeah. What I said to that to give my commentary onto the top of that was that it looks like this is the only time in political history that the president has been literally saying, "But I'm here to make things better. Like I want to make America better again. Like I want to do the things." Whereas before it was just like talk, yada yada yada, boring. Now it's like, no, let's do this. Let's get this fixed. Richie's got a split. No worries, dude. Thanks, man. Thanks for swinging by. Thanks, man. Keep an eye on that portfolio.
Rita, I know that I don't really care what Reid Hoffman has to say. It's frankly my take when it comes to all things Reid Hoffman. I mean, this is a guy who's obviously made a lot of money in the private sector there. Guess what? That doesn't mean that his opinions about anything other than the company that he created are worth particularly.
Who's Reid Hoffman? What did he create? Political division and disagreements are part of life. It's normal. Yeah, for sure. You like up, I like down. The sky is blue, the earth is flat. No, it's not. Yes, it is.
Not there. I mean, Bill Gates, same example there. You know, these guys are just so high on their own supply because they managed to strike the jackpot and win the lottery once when it comes to one investment there. They think that they therefore have all the solutions for everything that ails the entire world.
He seems like he's doing the opposite from the outside looking in. See, that's the way I look at it the other way. I think he's doing great things. I think he's done some incredible things since he started. And it's early days. And like, yeah, I think he's made some really good changes. But I think it's also too early to call, given it's a 4-year term and we're only like halfway through year one, not even halfway.
Well, you know who's also created very high worth, very valuable companies? Oh yeah, a guy by the name of Elon Musk, who last I checked is actually the wealthiest man in the world there. I think that he probably has a thing or two to say, that is Elon Musk, when it comes to trying to help streamline operations, make things more efficient, cut costs, cut waste, and oh, by the way, do all of that in a way that is actually wildly popular, because again, the American people don't want to be subsidizing sex change operations in Myanmar. They don't want to be subsidizing DEI in the Congo. These are common sense things. Whether or not Reid Hoffman, who is so high in his own supply that he can't see his own rear end, whether or not he wants to admit it there. But you know what? He's wrong. Elon Musk is right. The American people stand with Elon Musk, and they will continue to stand with Elon Musk and Doge.
And if they don't,
Shona, thank you so much for your time.
And if they don't, they can always just trash the Teslas. That's a great point. You know, if you don't like what Elon does, just go and trash your neighbor's Tesla. You know, that's logical, isn't it? Let's change topics here, folks, and let's take a look at old mate Toothboy. We haven't watched him for a while.
1,695.
Hello there.
That is how many days I have been living up here.
Do you know what, though? Before we do that, I've got to take a whiz. Can we take a quick pause and let's change topics here while I pee? You guys can see me getting close to a barrel on the weekend. Enjoy.
get too excited, but holy shit. That is the closest I've been to a barrel, right? Certainly sizable.
Forgot about the dolphins in that surf too. Not only did I get like a beautiful cover up, and that psyched me, but also the dolphins came and one went right underneath my board. I was like, what? That was so sick. I love it when those guys come past. All right, it's been a while, folks. Hello there, Toothboy.
1,695. That is how many days I have been living up here in the abandoned mining town of Cerro Gordo, a place that was once the largest silver mine in California, with thousands of residents, hundreds of buildings, and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of ore. And I moved up here all of those days ago to try to bring a little life back to the place, to preserve the history that's here and create some new history for future generations. And that goal, that quest, has been the hardest thing that I've ever tried to do. And this past month, a lot has happened. We are very deep in winter preparation mode, including trying to get a 70-year-old plow working again.
Wow.
We had some visitors that came and helped, not just with winter preparation, but preparation for some future disasters. Another visitor that helped us put internet all through this old ghost town, including cameras 700 feet down the main mine shaft here.
Now, this is something I'm interested in. I hope he shows all that.
I was given these letters from a person that lived up here at Cerro Gordo in the 1860s that show a true rags to riches story.
Got to give Toothboy credit. He is determined. He certainly is. He is determined. I think that's, yeah, I identify with that, with him. Yeah, for sure.
Changed the way that I'll view this town forever. And a whole lot more. So with that, let's get into it.
Toothboy. The determined Texan. He's from Texas, isn't he? No. Where's he? Yeah, no. Yeah, where's he from? Texas.
It's cold. That is a big update this month. I think we're sitting at about 15 degrees right now, and it seems that winter is just poking its head around the corner to let me know that it is almost here, and winters up in the ghost town can be difficult, and it has me feeling a little bit anxious, not necessarily because of the difficulties of the winter, but because we have so much to do before that first snow still hits. You know, I need to get the hotel dried in, which means I still need to put up exterior insulation, the windows need to go in, and the wooden siding needs to go on. And unfortunately, our window manufacturer, Jeld-Wen, is very late.
What did he just do?
Jeld-Wen.
Is that an inside joke? What was that about?
And unfortunately, our window manufacturer, Jeld-Wen, is...
What did he even say? Cheldwin? Someone's name?
Very late in their delivery, and it has been just a nightmare.
Oh, it's a brand.
With them. And I don't know if that is how the window industry is, but sometimes in life you have to figure out.
He's slagging off a brand.
Things that are in your control and things that are out of your control. And as frustrating as it is,
no, Gentleman. No, he said some brand name, but it sounded a little bit like Gentleman. Yeah.
Some things related to the hotel out of my control. Things that are in my control are preparing for this winter. You know, winters up here can be very difficult. And in full honesty, I was not prepared at all the first winter I was up here. You know, I showed up in a two-wheel drive truck, some slippers, not enough food, and got stuck and really just learned a lot. And I think each year since, I've gotten a little bit better in my winter preparation. You know, I've started stacking food a little bit earlier, cutting firewood a little bit earlier. I got some snow blowers. I even tried one of those front-mounted plows for a pickup truck, which couldn't even touch the snow drifts that we get up here sometimes. Wow. And so over the past few weeks, I have been scouring the backside of the property where we have a lot of pinyon trees for any fallen branches, some fallen trees, you know, chopping that up into firewood, getting that ready. I even got into this thing of milling some of the pinyon planks from these fallen trees into boards.
Wow.
You can see now it's looking good. This is a pinyon pine plank we got going on. And I have very grand ambitions for that wood and what we can do with it as far as maybe some things for the hotel, maybe desks and otherwise. And so if you're out there and you work with wood a lot, I'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, we have two working snowmobiles up here now, which is going to go a very long way. And the biggest thing to come in winter preparation is I was recently given a 1950s International snowplow, and that will make a night and day difference up here. You know, no more getting stuck up here, you know, just kind of shivering in the cold. If we have a plow that actually can deal with how difficult this road can be and how big the drifts can be, then that is just going to make everything so much easier. But like all things up here, there is obstacles. This thing is about 120 miles away from here, and it was last ran who knows when. And so the next up in
Cue Heavy D Spark.
Precipitation.
Precipitation. Man, that was loud for me. Precipitation.
The winter preparation is a Will It Run with a 1950s International truck.
My dad had an International, a truck, for many, many years as a kid. That was funny.
Nice. There it is.
First thing about the truck is it is awesome. It has a 10-foot plow that should be more than big enough to get through any snow drifts up at Cerro Gordo. And the truck wouldn't turn over the first time up there, but it seemed promising.
Fresh battery. That's right.
Before we could see how promising that was, we needed to tow this thing back down to Keeler. And unfortunately, you can't tow a snow plow with the plow still on it. So the first step in this process was getting this plow off.
He's on Jack. That's the wrong truck. It's doing it.
After we got the plow off, there were some rotten wheels still on this truck, so we needed to change out the wheels, and then finally we could see if this thing would run and get it back down here to Keeler.
Pedal down? No, sir. I got the pedal.
Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yeah! Nice! Yeah, heck yeah! Woo! And here it is, our new Chariot back in Keeler, California. It just needs a little bit of a tune-up, and then it's headed all the way up there for its final resting place. And this thing is going to be huge for winter prep. This is going to have a 10-foot plow on it. That way we're able to get off the mountain if things get bad. And it's not too bad, you know? It just doesn't want to open up, but, you know, there's our inside. Doing pretty good. We got all new wheels on it now, so it should be all right. We got chains for that too. We even got a dump bed. When it comes time to backfill the hotel, we'll have plenty of space to move some rocks around, and I'm stoked. I think this thing fits in just good. If you have a name that you want to suggest for the newest member of the Cerro Gordo fleet, this beautiful International that you see in front of you, do let me know. And
I'd say call it the Golden Help. Golden Help.
More to come when we get this thing actually up the hill. But that is our new beast. So sometimes in these update videos, I show things that are very visually striking. You know, things like pouring the concrete at the
Gold Mover. I like that.
Bringing our 40,000 gallon water tank all up the road. Or even things like going down to the 900-foot level of the Union Mine for the first time. And all those things are very exciting, but they happen really quickly, usually within a day, and they don't really impact my day-to-day life as much as some of these smaller issues that take longer to figure out and maybe aren't as visually striking. You know, when you turn on a sink and the water just comes out, that isn't that exciting to most people around the world. But for me, going from no running water to running water up at Cerro Gordo was a huge benefit. You know, it makes projects like this actually possible long term. And so today, we are going to tackle one of these logistical challenges that has been an issue for a long time, and that is internet.
Starlink?
I don't get to play with this stuff at home. That's why I came out here. All right, Brett thinks it was for him. No, it's not.
My internet drama up here in the middle of nowhere went from...
But he already did a video about this probably about a year ago, where he was talking about using the 4G signal and then bouncing that across town and across the valley and all that stuff. Tell me he got a better source. Tell me he got a Starlink.
No internet, you know, no way to really even get a text message out sometimes, to having a little AT&T hotspot, to eventually having a little bit better internet, but still having to go all the way down to Lone Pine to sit in the parking lot of a hotel to upload videos. And my goal is to turn this into a place where many people come And
Dude, you can get Starlink, man. You could have got it years ago. Dalesky, would be cool if he had a son to pass all this on to. Yeah. Yep. Fair point.
And a reality of today is that we need to have reliable internet for a variety of reasons. And so today we have a special guest. We have Chris from Crosstalk Solutions, an amazing YouTube channel. He brought up
And by the way, if I was him and I bought this town to redo it, the very first thing I would have done, put internet in there. Before even running water, possibly, right? Starlink would have been installed.
And our goal is to get excellent internet all through town, including going down the main mine shaft here to the 700-foot level and putting a live camera on the water source so we can see what the water level is at any time of day. This is going to be a massive, massive feat. And so with that, let's get into getting internet at Cerro Gordo.
So our goal for here is to cover this entire town in excellent wireless coverage so that the guests who visit, the people that stay here, have all of that connectivity that they need, because the internet is essential these days. Got it.
That was cool.
Plenty. That's plenty. So here at the Gordon House, what we're going to be doing is putting in sort of the brains of this whole operation, right? So we have a 4U rack. We have a UPS to keep the power nice and clean, because the power does tend to fluctuate a little bit up here. And then we have the Ubiquiti UDM SE, or Dream Machine SE. Now, that Dream Machine is a really cool product because it not only provides the router and firewall capabilities, we can do dual internet connections, so we'll have a Starlink as well as the wireless ISP connection. So if either of those goes down, the internet will still stay up. Of course, we're on battery backup as well. All right, so this is the bunkhouse. This is an important spot because we are branching off from here to the hoist house, and this is also going to supply a lot of the outdoor wireless coverage for the area. And then outside, we got this guy. This is a NanoBeam. This is going to pick up the signal.
Dale, I may have to reevaluate my take on future success of this venture. In more of a favorable light or a less favorable? Something's changed? What's changed?
That omnidirectional antenna on the Gordon House. And then we also have this big daddy, which is an outdoor wireless access point. It's going to do like amazing coverage throughout the whole area.
Because thinking about this, if he's going to have like influencers come and stay and promote the town and do all that, they need internet. So this is a good, solid move for him.
The only line of sight we have to that hoist house is all the way up at the top, about halfway up this mountain. And so there's a pole that...
You always thought this was just a personal lark and it was doomed to long-term failure. Okay. I've always had support for him. I've always thought he's going to make it work. Well, actually, I don't know if I'd say I always thought it would work, but he's dedicated and he's showed that many different times over. It's just a shame he hasn't been as truthful as he could be.
Your guys put in for us earlier today, and once we run a line up there, we'll be able to see the hoist house and get you internet over there as well. So here at the hoist house was
what I don't get with this layout that he's doing, and I mean people do this a lot, but I don't understand why. And maybe it's because I'm not an IT guy, but why don't they just run fiber everywhere instead of doing this line of sight? We're going to take the terrestrial internet and we're going to make it into radio waves and we're going to broadcast it across the valley to the other part of the town or whatever. Why don't they just run fiber under the ground? They've got. Okay, so you get the internet in this case Starlink, and then you put it into a DPU, a distribution point, and you branch fiber out from there. I don't get why they don't do that. I really don't understand that. If you build it, they'll come. Field of Dreams reference. Yes. How you doing, Jake?
Challenge because there's no line of sight up here from the town of Cerro Gordo proper. And so we have our little tiny access point that we ran up the hill 300 feet, and I can see it from right here. So that should be really good line of sight to the side of this building right here. This, of course, is the hoist house, and we're gonna then run it inside from there, and we will have perfect connectivity inside once again.
All right, the internet's getting there. And over here, you see an interesting shelf of stuff, and this is the material that is going to power the internet all the way down 900 feet down the mine shaft.
900
feet.
feet.
Throw in some cameras at the 700 foot level to be able to see exactly what's going on down there with the water source. All right, today we do the next and hopefully final step in the internet for a while. We are headed 700 feet down the main mine shaft here. And the goal of that is to not just get internet down 700 feet, is to get some cameras on our water source that's 700 feet down there. So that way we don't have to take a trip 700 feet down the mine every single time we have to go check on that. That's the only place around here where there's water. So knowing what's going on with it is very important. And so we need to get internet down there, cameras down there, then we can check it out from up here. All right, and so the goal here is to get all of this fiber cable attached to the old coax all the way down. Helmets on, I think we're good to go.
1 more second, Stephen. We will be ready to go.
I might do a Neil situation like this.
That'd be a cool job, actually. I could get around that. You know, a job that has a physical beginning point and an end point, like running fiber cable down coax and then cable tying it in. I could do that.
Me? I'm not on the cable now. Okay. All right, let's try it.
All right, Stephen, they are prepared to go down. Let's go down, please. All right, here we go. Okay, we are good, Stephen. Waiting for
Balthier, Balthier GR. Hello, Balthier. How you doing?
red light. We got green right now. Copy that. Standing by for red.
Thank you.
How do you guys think?
Robma 7733 donated $5 towards the Jack Behind Me fund. Thanks. I used to be a little boy. So old in my shoes. And what I choose is my choice. What's a boy supposed to do?
The killer in me is the killer in you. Send my smile over to you. That would be Disarm by the Smashing Pumpkins. Captain Rob's Adventures. That would be, I guess that's Rob Mack over on Partai. How you doing, man? Thank you for the... Please tell me you heard that alert. I triggered the alert so that you should be hearing them. What the fuck was that alert? That's an old one. That's an old YouTube alert. The Jack Behind Me fund. Rob Mack coming in, and you heard it. Thank you so much, Rob Mack. Thank you, dude. We do have a special bottle of Jack Behind Me too. That's going to be there for another bunch of weeks, another substantial amount of time. But that $5 will go towards the next bottle, whatever that is. Hello, Loving Kingfisher. How you doing, man? That's Jake. How you doing, Jake? Got a new handle over there. Nice one. So Rob, whenever Rob donates to that donation fund, he always comes in with a song lyric, and it's my attempt. I don't think have I messed one up? I reckon I would have messed up one, but I typically get them. I like music and I remember music. I think there was one. What was the one that I didn't get? Oh, you'd have to go back and look in the archives. There was one there that I think I messed up. Thank you, man. Thank you, dude. Good to see you joined up to Party as well, by the way. You should be all on Party, and you should all be claiming your Party tokens, your Party coin. What's it called again? Party points. You should be claiming them as much as you can, because let's just say we don't know what's going to happen with those, but they're there for you. Claim them.
Like 10 feet or so?
Yeah.
Hey, there's Rob Mack over on YouTube. How you doing, man? Slinging it by all the platforms. Claim your YouTube. You don't get anything on YouTube, but a nice red icon.
Somewhere's in there, yeah. Just tell me when you want to stop and I'll hit the reds. Stop.
Red light.
That's cool.
All right, and now we won't have to come down all the way down here to check this because this little camera right there is keeping an eye.
Cool.
Everything down here. So we'll be able to
You know what you could also do, because that's a camera that's permanently feeding. You could start a YouTube or a DLive channel called Mine Water Level and just broadcast that 24/7. Top Duck did it, and Top Duck got favored for it. Top Duck got promoted heavily on DLive. Top Duck got a lot of donations. You could just have your water cam broadcasting. Why not?
know how much water's in here, if anything's going on. But the system as it is working really good.
Remember when Top Duck was getting all the love on DLive? I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is what's getting promoted on this platform? A stupid farm with duck cameras? That's just a network engineer just put cameras in a place. It was crazy how much they loved that. Crazy.
So we're just continuing to upgrade our system. Good stuff.
So 3 days of hard work, but the town of Cerro Gordo now has decent internet. And it kind of feels good being a part of the history of the town, kind of. Right?
I could easily send you lyrics that you wouldn't get, but that would be boring. True, and you know my wheelhouse as well, Rob. So you know what I know, kind of thing. Yeah, true, yeah. But I mean, on that same notion, you could instead of doing Disarm by the Smashing Pumpkins, you could have done something a bit more obscure, like I don't know, something off Pisces Iscariot or a B-side or something. That would be a little harder to sort of work out. I felt certain Top Duck was a sign of the end of DLive for sure. Just not just the platform, but the people behind it that were promoting that. They're really scratching. They're really like grabbing at straws, right? So strange.
So this is a milestone. We're getting plus 100 megabit downloads in a ghost town. It's amazing.
It's crazy. Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
No, thank you. Thanks for being
thanks
a
for
gracious
having us.
host.
Yeah.
What are they doing there? Throwing rocks.
A big theme this month is addressing issues, both current and pressing issues as well as potential future issues. And a very big future issue, and one that has come time and time again, is erosion. If you look around, we are in the high desert up at 8,500 feet in elevation. There is not a lot of shrubbery around. The dirt here is mostly sand with rocks. That means when you get a big gully washer, it is going to take all this material with it to the lower point. And if that material happens to be your road, that means your road to town, as happens here, gets washed out. And this has happened 3 or 4 times over the past 2 years, and each time, I have to get down there with a backhoe and rebuild the road. And over the years, many of you guys have offered suggestions, about how to keep the road from going away.
Addressing issues and fixing problems. What a concept. I mean, that could still be on the DLive conversation as well at that point, I know we're referring to old mate here, Toothboy, but that could also be said of DLive, They never thought about addressing any of the issues. Just wash it under the carpet, under the rug swept.
It's going to be a big deal. I've been stuck up here for over a week at a time because the road's been washed out. But a lot of these suggestions often revolve around doing things to the road itself. And unfortunately, we can't do anything to the road itself because the road is a utility road. Luckily, today we have
Dev Marvel, go away.
Somebody here that's been doing a lot of experimenting in the desert with erosion and trying to prevent it, and that is Sean Overton from Dust Up's YouTube channel. It's an amazing channel if you guys haven't checked it out. He has been experimenting for years now with trying to keep water under control. So he's here, and we're going to start what will probably be a multi-year expedition to hopefully reduce the amount of water getting to the road, therefore reducing the amount of road washouts, and therefore eliminating some big future issues.
Interesting music he's got going on in this theme.
Today we are building a check dam. We're going to go over to the problem area where you have the washout the most frequently, and we're going to see if there's a spot where we can do two things. We want to build the dams, but we also would like to have material as close by as possible. A check dam is to solve the problem before it becomes a problem. So down there, how many feet does it drop? Like 150?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't want the water to get 150 feet of gravity speed behind it. We want to have it just constantly slap into obstructions. And the idea behind a check dam is not what you're thinking of as a dam. We don't want to have the Hoover Dam here. We're not trying to have our drinking water. We don't want it to stay on the surface. It's intentionally leaking on purpose.
Kickstream isn't working for me, keeps buffering, going offline. Yeah, there's been issues with Kick. I don't know what's going on. That's not the first person to report that today. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, when that happens, it's good to know you can jump off on other sites as well, but whenever that happens, I'm going to assume, and I don't have any facts here, but I'm going to assume it's Beamstream messing up the output to Kick. That's all I can say. But it's been happening all day. Damn that dam! Oh, you couldn't dam that river.
But what we're trying to do is just have the water hit this wall. A little bit of it is going to go through, and then you're going to have the water back.
You're going to use the hole, fill the hole.
Backfill. So you might have a couple.
Jake said it screwed up when I went to share the stream on Twitter. The Kick stream. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not watching it on Kick, but I do use Kick for the donation, the alerts, the triggers. I just farted, for instance. I use it for that, but yeah, when Beam doesn't work, I don't know what to say. I don't know. It's not my bit rate. Kick's always worked. If anything, Twitch should be the one that doesn't work because I'm sending too much of a bit rate for Twitch. They only require 6,000. I'm sending 8,000. But it's not Twitch that's reporting issues.
Couple 100 gallons in there, and that water is not going to stay there very long. Say all the water is finished, it'll be under the ground, and I mean, you have clay, so it'll take a little longer, maybe an hour, hour and a half, and the water's gone.
Yeah.
It's not gone, though. It's in the ground where the plants can get it.
Awesome, right.
But the idea is that if we have the water build up, that's 200 gallons. That's not going down there.
Right.
And if we build dozens of them beforehand, right, we're saving thousands and thousands and thousands.
You're watching it on Streamlabs. Now, I did not know you could watch it on Streamlabs. Interesting, Rob. They got a little player there, do they? That's interesting. I didn't know they had that. Huh.
Gallons before it even hits the road. What we're trying to do with a check dam is we're trying to make a very gentle U shape like this so that the water flows through the middle, and we want to protect the bank as well. We're trying to get the water to backfill and then spill through the middle, and we're going to build a little landing pad so that it's not kicking up silt as it goes.
All right, now to continue our little dam project down in the wash, we need some more rocks. We're up here.
You can watch and chat. Right. So is there a regular chat on Streamlabs? I didn't know that. Interesting.
At the tailings, where we have a variety of different rocks, from small to big. So we're going to throw some of these in the truck and then keep working on it.
How are things going?
Oh man, it feels so satisfying finally seeing the shape come together.
Yeah.
It's
looking good.
When I was over there, thank you. When I was over there shoveling the shale, I was so depressed.
Yeah.
It's like, it looks so paltry in this channel, and we're running out of rocks.
Yeah. We're doing good now.
Well, it helps when you have a giant pile of screen material where we can just chuck it where we need it.
Right.
It's so much faster. All right, so we finished 3 check dams on this trip, and I'm really excited because that's enough to make a substantial difference. And I don't think it's going to prevent a washout on the road, but it's a template for what Brent can do to prevent washouts down the road. So what he's going to be looking out for is during the first rain event, he wants to see that stair-stepping pattern. You should see pools like stair steps going down the wash, and if that works, then the pattern is just more of the same. We want to build that stair step all the way down until we get to where the water crosses the road, and by that point the water should just be a little trickle. You'll have some runoff, but nothing like what you've experienced before.
I like that concept.
So after all of these days living here, I would say a lot of things have changed. And something.
Here comes the sponsorship.
And as far as
Element sponsorship, surely. He's got it behind him. Yep. He slides those ads in seamlessly, doesn't he, little TB? Element hot drinks now for the winter.
Yo, 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 yo,
Yo, yo, yo. Wow.
And therein lies the joy.
Wow. Thanks for following whoever that was.
Also this month, I came across or discovered with a little bit of help one of my favorite stories that I have come across in my time up here at Cerro
Pinocchio?
Gordo. It is a true rags to riches story
Pinocchio.
about a guy who
It's not
came
Pinocchio.
up here right around 1865,
Ah.
right around when the town first got started as just a simple miner, and he got promotions, then more promotions, and by the end of his life, he was worth $40 million. You know, just a
Jeez.
true rags to riches story that is so rare in the American West. I think that is the dream that is sold to a lot of the miners that came west for the gold rush, but very, very few times did that ever happen. And this story that I am talking about is outlined in first-hand letters from a guy named John Porter, who was writing to a person named Francis Smith between the years of 1865 and 1871. And I got access to these first-hand letters that detail the daily life at Cerro Gordo during the boom years, during the years that fortunes were made and lost, during years that nobody was talking about the minor things like, you know, the snowdrifts or the lack of running water or the difficulties of the mine in the newspaper articles. But here, in these letters, all of that is outlined and more. And these letters came to me from my friend Mark, who lives in Independence. And he is friends with Jane Homan, who is the great-granddaughter of Francis Smith. And Francis Smith had a correspondence with John Porter, who is living...
Dude, there's a lot of connections there. Go back.
Friends with Jane Homan.
How many people does this go through?
In these letters, all of that is outlined and more. And these letters came to me from my friend Mark, who lives
Mark?
in Independence. And he is friends with Jane Homan, who is
Jane?
the great-granddaughter of Francis Smith. And
Francis?
Francis Smith had a correspondence with John Porter, who
With
was
John.
living up here at Cerro Gordo between the years of 1865 and 1870.
That's 4 people. You could have just said John. These came from John.
So again, the boom years. And what I find so interesting about this story is Porter seemed to somehow fly underneath the radar of a lot of the big mentions at Cerro Gordo. You know, the newspapers love to report about guys like Mortimer Belshaw, who's the guy that brought the financing up here, or Remy Nadeau, who brought all of the supplies to and from the mountain, or Victor Beaudry, who started the first general
6
store.
degrees
You know,
of Kevin
all those
Bacon.
guys have been pretty much immortalized in history, but Porter eventually would open up minds with all of those guys. You know, he was a very serious player that I knew about passively. You know, if you've ever read my book, Ghost Town Living, in one of the chapters, I talk about the quick thinking of a mine superintendent who saved the lives of miners down in the mine. You know, the hoist works was burning up. This superintendent made these really quick decisions, and he saved all these miners' lives. And I said it just kind of as a passive thought that, oh, the superintendent Porter. And it wasn't until I was reading these letters that I learned that that Porter is the same Porter that are in these letters. And I have to say that this type of discovery, this type of rabbit hole to go down is my favorite thing that happens up here at Cerro Gordo. You know, we have what's available in the history books, and that's one thing. But every so often, I'm able to get a first-hand look into the miners' lives that was never available before. We start off in February of 1868 when Porter was writing to Fanny, and he said, "I will take good care not to be shut up in the Inyo Mountains another winter. We have to pay 3 cents a pound to have provisions packed 8 miles and have been using snow water for the last 2 months. However, we have got along pretty well, but could not have much work done." And I mean, talk about resonating. My first winter up here, I probably said those same words. I will take good care to not be shut up here. And I was using snow water as well. So the idea that 150 something years ago, you know, they're having those same struggles just humanizes the past in a way that I found very interesting. On June of 1868, you know, maybe a few years into his time here, he writes to Fanny and he says, "You wonder why I stay in such a poor place. I will tell you. I was offered a good position here. Then I found some rich ore here, enough to induce me to invest everything in it, and after nearly 1 year, am not sure yet of realizing anything for it. Do you think I have been disappointed almost enough, or is there any more to come? If so, I hope they will come soon. And I resonate with that a lot.
It's like waiting for a green candle on the crypto market.
You know, he is saying that essentially it's very difficult to live up here. He's going on about, you know, the cold winters and that. And he says, you ask why I stay here. He's like, because I found something here, you know, interesting enough for me to invest everything that I have in it. And that's pretty much exactly what I did back in, 2018. And I've been living up here since 2020, trying to give that a go. And to see that that has been the case for, again, 150 years, people pushing all the chips in. There's something about this place that just entrances you, is very comforting to me. And if we jump together again, if we go now to August of 1870, it starts getting a little interesting. Now he starts talking more about his position and kind of his ascent up the ladder here at Cerro Gordo. And in this letter, he's talking about a smelter that they're thinking about building that they want him to run. And he says, they're offered to furnish to the amount of $7,000 besides the building and most of the machinery necessary if I would take hold of it. But I knew they gave me credit for having more means than I already have, so I declined the offer. He goes on to say, the parties above referred to wanted to know what I would work for them for until the works was completed and what I would run them, superintend, after completed. I would attend to it until the furnace was ready to run for $150 a month and would run it for as little as $200 a month, provided I had full charge of everything. Which is interesting. So basically he's saying, he's built enough trust over the 3 years or so that he's been here, 4 years, for people to want him to take charge, to oversee the construction of a smelter. And he's basically saying, I don't know that I have the skills to do that. He wasn't quite confident enough. He came up here as a lonely miner. And then eventually he says, I will run it if they give me $150 a month and then $200 a month once it's finished. And if we fast forward a little bit, 2 months later, he writes to Fanny again, and he says, I was superintending the construction of smelting works at this place. A great many here were pleased to think and say that they would prove a failure on the fact of my not having enough, as they thought, practical experience in the business. He goes on to say, we commenced smelting over 2 weeks ago, and I know you will be pleased to hear that they were a complete success, doing better than the others here now in operation for over 2 years. So it seems that he accepted the position to build the smelter, and then he's accepting it to be the superintendent of the smelter, and a lot of people in town thought that was a bad idea, that he
When did the riches come in? He said this was rags to riches.
didn't have enough experience, kind of how he hinted at as well. But it seems that it's doing better than the smelters that have been up here for 2 years, so you can kind of start to see the ascent of Porter and some of his confidence growing. Now if we go forward a little bit more, one thing that I see in December of 1870, almost 2 years after his first promotion, he says, I am superintendent. And so essentially then, I think that he had graduated from just the superintendent of the smelting works to the superintendent of the entire mine. So basically running the mine for Belshaw and these other huge figures of the past that we're aware of. And what I think is interesting is what happened after he left Cerro Gordo. As I dug into more newspaper articles, it turns out that he became partners with Robert Waterman, who was the governor of California from 1887 to 1891. And together they opened up all sorts of mines, including the mines that would later be referred to as Calico, which became a huge mining district in its own regards. There's newspaper clippings about his real estate holdings in San Diego. There's newspaper clippings about when he got hurt and became a real player in the space. So much so that when the executor of his will went through the will, they made a note here that he was worth $40 million at the time of his death. But what I think is even more interesting than that is that in his will, if you look down, he says, pay to M.W. Belshaw of San Francisco $1,000. So in his will, he's leaving money behind to Mortimer Belshaw. And what's so interesting to me about that is, oftentimes we portray Belshaw as this robber baron. This guy who was up here at Cerro Gordo that was just taking everything I could and not helping anybody. But Porter, who essentially came up here as an employee of Belshaw, became a superintendent of Belshaw's mine, and then later became partners with Belshaw in mines. He chose to pay respect to to give him money at his death. You know, this showed that maybe he was, you know, the mentee to Belshaw. Maybe Belshaw was kind of like showing him through the ropes. But I just think that this entire story is very fascinating. It's very, again, comforting to me, because I think that oftentimes, as I said, we can see our problems as so unique. Like, nobody can ever understand me. But if we look far back enough in history, maybe even not that far back, somebody has probably been in whatever situation you're in, and they persevered, you know? And so I think that for me, sometimes when I'm feeling lonely or overwhelmed, a dive into history can be very comforting in a way that I don't think I ever appreciated before moving up here to Cerro Gordo. And I guess since we're on the topic of all of these cool things coming in, I will say this: if you or anybody that you know has a direct tie to Cerro Gordo, has some type of documents related to Cerro Gordo, I would love to see them. I'm doing my best to build out the most clear picture of this town that we can, and I think any of these documents help do that collaboratively. You know, my email is just brent@cerrogordomines.com. I would love to hear from anybody, see any documents related to Cerro Gordo, any artifacts. I would love to hear about them. If you're interested in seeing these exact letters, they are at the Eastern California Museum in Independence, California. You can see the letters.
A good lesson for all of us is persistence. I was just thinking when he was talking about that, it'd be interesting to hear from the people of those families that are still alive. You know, like he's very keen to walk us through the history, the documented history, but he could also be finding those people. You know, there'd be family members of the Belshaw and the Porters and whatnot. That'd be intriguing to get them to come and tell what, you know, he's now told us what he assumes is the, you know, the personality of this person from these writings, but actual family members would be able to tell the actual story.
From John Porter to Fanny, and I think that's just like amazing. But as you can see, this is a very exciting discovery for me this month, and one that I hope to continue building on in future months. And again, I just find such comfort in this and the history here.
Yeah.
Just feeling like,
yeah, right on. Find family to invite them to stay at the hotel once it's done. Yeah, good idea. Yeah, I mean that seems like a very obvious thing to do. I'm sure he's thought of that.
I'm part of something bigger.
And now it is time for a hike. You know, as they say, hike while there's some decent weather and before there's 4 feet of snow and you wish you could still hike, or something to that effect.
They say that?
I think that living somewhere with defined seasons adds a sense of urgency, anxiety, preparation, all of those feelings, because you know that the entire scenery around you is going to change. You know, I never felt that growing up in Florida or living in Texas. You never really had to prepare for what was coming next, because it all kind of felt the same. But here, this scenery is going to look totally different in a week, maybe in a month.
Yeah, fully, Dale. Cerro Gordo covered in snow in winter is beautiful. It's I mean, it's a stunning place, right? Like, it's beautiful. Yeah, I agree. I want to go there.
Most, and that impermanence makes it beautiful. You know, that transient nature magnifies beauty. I think that's why things like, you know, butterflies are beautiful, or fall leaves, or
Schmetterling,
shooting stars, or even, you know, the sunset and the sunrise, because there's this transient nature to it. And I think I feel that a lot more up here at Cerro Gordo. And so something that I've been thinking about a lot, you know, as far as the changes that I've felt over the last few years. And I know that in a month from now, I will not be able to make this hike. And so I am headed out to a very, very cool mine. A mine that was a big mine in Cerro Gordo's day, one that's a beautiful hike over Death Valley National Park, and one that I haven't been to in probably 3 years.
You like the way that he paints pictures with his words. It's a skill. He is a wonderful storyteller, 100%. It's an art. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
And the fact that it's been 3 years since I've seen this mine is a little exciting. It's like seeing an old friend. Has it changed? Have I changed? Will it feel the same? You know, who was I back then and how did I see this place? And I'm really excited to dip my toes back into that feeling and just to explore mine. I will see any reason to explore mine, especially a mine from the 1800s that's related to Cerro Gordo. We're almost there. We are going down to those mines you see below. Some of my favorite mines, the ones that I remember the excitement the first time I was going there. How every single day was an adventure. And just the freedom I felt being back here.
Imagine if you could get TB on a call in,
After living in Spain
dude.
for so long.
Absolutely, that would be cool. You know, the only thing I see not happening, the only reason I see that not happening, I don't know of him to do any live content on his channel. There's never been anything live, which is something I'd ask him if I got him live. You know, like he's kind of, you know, it's harder. You can be called out live. You can't, in an edited video, you can crop it and cut stuff out, but in a live feed, it's all going to the internet. That might be why he doesn't. Just saying.
Just imagining right now, there's nobody for maybe hundreds of miles that way.
Yeah. I mean, we can just, let's do that little check. I mean, I've done it before, but let's do it again. Let's just Trouser refresh his channel. He doesn't even have a live tab, so he has never done a live feed. Never. So yeah, that could be a thing he doesn't want to do. I mean, it looks like a thing he doesn't want to do. It's why I often say no comment during a call-in. Right on, right on, right on.
Imagine bringing all of this stuff out here. I mean, I think Cerro Gordo is hard to get stuff to. We are a few miles from Cerro Gordo and on some mule trails. Just the perseverance of these people is just incredible. One of my favorite things to do is just to sit and watch the shadows race across the desert. I think the desert has a way of kind of clarifying things. There's not a lot of distraction. There's not a lot of change, to be honest. You know, things grow.
That night when Suki called in, I couldn't seem to shut my damn pie hole. You were answering for her, dude. That was awesome. That was so funny. Hadn't seen Suki in so long, and she's on the call and like, so I know there's been some changes for you, Suki. What are the biggest steps you've done to change your life? Oh, she's gone through a lot of things, man. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, she's here. Yeah. So you're about to get fiber? No, she's getting fiber. It's coming. Yeah. She's here. She can probably just tell us. And it's like, yeah, okay, I'll be quiet. Let her talk. Okay. So Suki, what time is it for you now? It's about 4 a.m. where she is. How about Suki answers? It was so funny, hey. We hadn't had a call in for a while, period, and then we also hadn't had Suki on for a long time.
Low in the desert.
Dale Fail,
You have
yeah.
to really look to see them, and it's a good reminder for Cerro
like
Gordo
that.
in many ways.
I like that. Dale Fail, that works.
But our main focus is this terrifying looking entrance, which has collapsed a bit since I was last here. It's looking a little worse for the wear. You know, imagine in another 10, 20 years, that'll still be the hillside.
In your defense, you were high. Fair enough. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, that's fair. We can all, we've been there.
It'll look like this, and if it wasn't for the tailing pile behind me, we'd never see it.
Watch your head. Bang. Ouch.
Whoa. Look, there's a chipmunk. That was kind of scary. Never seen a chipmunk in a mine before.
What's a chipmunk?
It's funny, after all these years, something like that can spook me in a way that...
This is sick.
Oh, what else can? There's some
chipmunk.
Beautiful minerals in this mine. I think I've asked this before, but if anybody has an idea of what I'm looking at, I imagine some of copper, lead, maybe some silver content in there. Think of all the work it took just to set
That
those
chipmunk
up.
was not Dale, named
That's a big
Dale.
guy.
Right. Dale the chipmunk.
These are just some of the best blues that I've seen in mines. You can see kind of the vein going along there. And it's funny, I remember being equally excited last time I saw these rocks. So it wasn't just artifacts I was looking for. I think that's kind of one of the benefits going back to somewhere you've been before. It's not a trip into nostalgia by any means. It's kind of a exploration of who you were then, who you are now, and it's a little checkup, you know?
What? What is he waffling about, dude? Going into a mine is like a checkup on who you are when, who you are then, who you are now. Dude, you're just walking through a mine, man. I mean, I know he tells a wonderful story, but this is stretching it. Did you hear what he just said?
Rocks, so it wasn't just artifacts I was looking for. I think that's kind of one of the benefits going back to somewhere you've been before. It's not a trip into nostalgia by any means. It's kind of a exploration of who you were then, who you are now, and it's a little checkup, you know? And so I see it as...
I mean, it'd be wonderful to sit around and smoke from a funky cigarette with this guy. I'm sure he'd be able to decipher all kinds of deep and meaningful conversations. Imagine being in a mine like that during an earthquake. Yeah, dude, that'd be frightening. And California gets earthquakes, you know? Shit, dude.
A way to check in on growth more than
a
way to tap into nostalgia. And I remember exactly how I'd be feeling when I was going up this in the past. And I think
It's foreboding
now
music too.
I may be a little more cautious than maybe when I first moved to Cerro Gordo. But I am still equally curious. And so that is going to lead me to go further with the rationale that, hey, I did it once, I can do it again. Newspapers are my favorite because they give an idea of who was last in here and when. At auction, 100 horses and mules, Wednesday, June 4, 1919.
Damn.
Over 100 years ago, someone brought this in here, likely to use the restroom with it, and left it. Getting pretty hairy back here.
Interesting thought that you're just reading a newspaper that's been wiped on someone's ass 100 years ago. That's pretty funny.
Yikes. Your boy's a little bit not as nimble on his feet, I suppose. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I am always on the hunt for Levi jeans. And I've told the story a bunch, but Levi's created the first pair of blue jeans as we know it for California silver miners in the 1870s. Now, denim already existed, but blue jeans, as we know them, was
Cave
created
painting.
for
Yeah.
in these tunnels
Made with poop.
back in the day. And so a full
Must have had
pair of
diarrhea,
Levi's-
right? Yeah. Oh, speaking of diarrhea, I had an incident. It's not really a great poo story. I got caught short this morning on a fitness walk, and had to. Well, there was no bathroom, but there was an ocean. Let's just say. So kind of went for a swim as well as a walk. Let's just say. Not a great story. Not worth. It's not. I mean, it's a pooing myself in public story, but it's not as good as any of my other ones. It's just Just happened. Shit happened.
Can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sometimes
gives a shit. Yeah, yeah.
100,000 recently in auctions, and I am just obsessed, some would say, with finding them in the rubble. And people will often ask, why would there be jeans down in the mines? Because originally when they're made more for like coveralls to go over your workwear more than just to wear them themselves. So a lot of times the mines would own them and they would leave them for the miners to change into when they got to work. So that's why there would be jeans here. And I think
he's hardly ever. He talks a lot about that, but he's hardly ever found any, has he? I mean, he has found some, but it's been pretty, like, decrepit.
Having that same feeling that I had first few years here, just searching for these jeans. It was such a silly quest because I would never sell them. I just thought it was interesting because of the rarity. But it just became kind of my beacon day in and day out. I was like, I'm going to find some Levi's. So I think sometimes in places like this, it's not about the nostalgia like I talked about. It's about remembering the person you might have left behind within yourself and kind of reigniting that. And I wanted to spend so long digging through here looking for jeans. Is that? No, it's a rock. And I think that's exciting. I think that's the value in kind of returning to places you haven't been in a long time, to just tap back into that.
Yeah, they're very valuable. Yeah, Dale. Yeah, he's educated all of us about that. I didn't know that they were valuable, but yeah, some of them have been upward $100,000 a pair. You know, like super valuable.
Check in. Who are you now? Who are you then? What things might be left behind and not even known it that you might want to bring back to your daily life. And I think exploring mines for jeans is something I definitely want to bring back into my daily life. And so I'm going to browse around a little bit in here. And let's go check in on that sunset. Those clouds were looking nice before we got in here.
He looks really clean there, like he's got a filter or something on.
Well, there may be no jeans for me today, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a beautiful sunset. So let's go out and check that out. Ooh. Death Valley is not disappointing tonight.
Now comes the here comes the outro where he talks to us about how, you know, if you get outside and you see a sunset and you observe nature, you really feel like you're one with the surrounds. And when it comes to a mining town, so much work was put into digging out the soul of the mountain to find what's really inside of the mountain, the minerals and all those beautiful things that we value. But if you actually look inside yourself, you find the value of you as a human. And that only comes when you go outside and walk the earth. So I encourage you to walk in my shoes, walk the earth, walk the grounds of Cerro Gordo. And as soon as the American Hotel's up and running, you can all come and stay up here and pay me money. You know what's coming, right? He's always got these good outros.
I remember sitting here 3 years ago talking about wabi-sabi, embracing life's imperfections and its impermanence, because that's what makes things beautiful. You know, we talked before about
Is it just me, or is he not in sync? Is it? That can't be my stream, but his audio doesn't seem like it's matched up. And I noticed he was using an external mic that he hasn't got on right now. Interesting. What's going on with that? I'll put it on 1080p.
Butterfly, and that's what makes it beautiful, or a falling star, or even a sunset. And
no, but he's not mic'd up and he's not synced up, but he is talking about sunsets.
I think it's true. You know, sitting here now, I'm looking at this old miner's cabin, and the imperfections in the wood make it so much more beautiful than anything you could ever buy at a Home Depot, because there's a story to it. You know, you can understand that went through something. I think that's why people like things like factory distressed denim, you know, or why Instagram has filters to make things look old, because we understand that with these imperfections, things have story.
Have you seen Magnus Midbot's? Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
There's a little bit more there than just right off the shelf. It's a little bit nostalgic as well. And 3 years later,
I think I have a lot more imperfections probably than I had 3 years ago when I was sitting here, but I have a lot more stories too, and I'm very grateful.
I wonder if he uses like ChatGPT to write me a 3-minute outro to a video where I talk about reflecting on oneself in nature. And he's got a stack of them. Hey, it just pulls them out willy nilly.
And in large part, that's thanks to all you guys watching this channel. You know, you make a lot of these adventures happen. And so I just want to say, I really appreciate it. You know, it's never lost on me how much joy I get out of creating these videos and being able to share them with you guys. So thank you for following along over the past few years. I hope that you guys venture out to somewhere familiar and might get some feelings from the past and embrace your own imperfections and the impermanence all around you, because it is beautiful. And for now, I think I'm just going to stare out into the vastness that is the desert and just allow it to clarify thoughts even more. I hope you guys have an amazing week.
Clarify
I really
those
do
thoughts.
Appreciate you guys checking out these videos, and I'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, clarify those thoughts. I'm taking the piss, but you know what I'm saying, right? He definitely has. He's got that edge about him. He's got that carefully constructed, leaving you feeling happy and wanting more, and it comes from him. So that's why you'll come back to the channel, because he's giving you that happy feeling.
Hey guys,
videos.
I hate to interrupt you, Nick. Well, hello there. But anywho, I'm gonna go to bed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.